We already have maybe some signs of what they want to run. We are seeing very, very different compositions so far. They can definitely change as the doors open, but we are definitely seeing on this maker base that brawl coming to you from St. John's.
Interesting that UConn is not going to be opting into that. They're going to be going for the Wrecking Ball. Might be a little bit harder to navigate that giant flying ball into the areas where it might be most optimal, but we'll see if a rabbit can do it. As we see the Genji also going to be coming in from St. John's University. Something we haven't seen too often, but excited to see how Bizarre performs as UConn begins to make this rotation. That's going to be Q trying to get into the backline, looking for any opening on these targets. Not a whole lot of break to shut down this Tracer, but Q already taking quite a bit of damage. Rich now certainly going to be aware, keeping eyes on those flanks, keeping ears open for the Tracer as that McCree going to be able to shut them down. However, it's Benteek who is going to be able to get the first kill onto Rich. DPS lineup now opening for UConn, as now they're going to start making their way to point. There's not much St. John's can do here, but because UConn is starting to make that rotation towards point and leaves the escape open a little bit more for St. John's to get away.
The off angle definitely giving the benefit to UConn with the soldier getting those kills. Now they just have to simply clean up, but they already have the percentage that they're winning on point, which is an ideal situation for them. And the fight lasted way too long just because they were feeling very comfortable on the high ground, but we didn't really see a fight besides when once again the soldier was trying to get a few picks for himself. That flux up from UConn is going to be ready for an early initiation and that rally as well. So that's one of the biggest differences that we see in the composition.
A great start from St. John's as Rich takes down Q, exactly what that McCree needs to do in this type of situation. He's going to be thrown behind noon from the high ground. Mercy popping the bout to get the res, going to be allowing themselves to get the regen here, despite being brought critically low by Rich. It's just a natural regeneration that comes through. Benteek now on the opposite high ground we saw them on earlier, really trying to rain down with that tactical visor, finding some great advantage here. As we see them pushing ahead, the damage boost gonna be giving Benteke that opportunity.
50% already for UConn, and they're looking pretty good. The ult economy, yeah, they did use a lot there, but it was necessary to win. Now the biggest challenge for them is going to be that blade coming through from Bizarre. He needs to get value out of it if they want something to happen. They don't want the point to get more percentage on the side of the enemy team, and it has to be a very early engagement for it to get value.
We can see Rabbit taking a little bit of a nap, using those adaptive shields to really sustain a whole heap of abuse there. As we see now the Ravage Flux is going to be coming through. It's going to be Mitben trying to hold up, keep the team of St. John's from really pushing forward. And so far, UConn looking great, not letting St. John's get anywhere near the point.
They're definitely having that confidence, and once again, the longer this goes, it's already 90% for UConn. They're looking pretty comfortable, and they are going to have the ultimate abilities once again for this next fight, once St. John's has not used them once.
Bizarre going to be going in with the blade. Very dangerous considering they just hopped right in front of Ali, however, able to take down Dainosuke as well. Looking great for St. John's. This is just the reinforcements they need as Rabbit sends herself off the edge.
Just like that, they should be able to regroup, so it's not looking too bad for UConn as well. They just have to wait for everyone to regroup to try to push again, especially with that rally from Ali that's going to be running just a few seconds. That's going to be really strong, but in the meantime, St. John's is going to hold this very, very close. They want to take the advantage, and they do have the ult economy to do so.
It's going to be the Zarya going in, committing the grab, locking everybody up into that high ground, and now with the Reinhardt getting the nano boost, it's going to be the opportunity for St. John's to continue to push ahead, investing a few ults, but they managed to hold.
But even when they invest his ultimate abilities, they still have a bunch to use because, like I mentioned, they didn't use into those first fights. They decided to save them, and now Bizarre already with 50% for Blade again. Their ultimate economy is looking really good. They need to make sure that they don't let the side of UConn take the advantage here with what they have, especially with the tactical visor.
Pulse Bomb tries to go out from Q, doesn't land on too much, and now it's going to be the Valkyrie coming in from UConn as well as the rally. But the big Earth Shatter opens things up for St. John's. The question is, will the follow-up be there? Benteke taken down, but is res back up. Now it's going to be UConn's opportunity to drop the Gravitic Flux. Sound Barrier coming out from Liam does keep the entirety of St. John's alive so far. Rich trying to contest the high ground, but Benteke just does have the better aim with that tac visor going online. It's now going to be UConn who have the opportunity to take the point here. It looks like they're just trying to shore up the last few kills.
They're trying to get a percentage, but Lucy's gonna put up a fight, gets taken down immediately with that headshot from Menken. That should be enough. That should be the cleanup that UConn was needed. Took them a little bit longer, but the tankers will come through now.
You see Bizarre going in with the blade once again, trying to find the brig. doesn't have success as much as they did last time, and be brought down with the melee from Q, who now looking to change their focus onto the supports. It's gonna be UCONN holding down Mecha base here for the first submap of Busan.
And it was just very interesting to see Bizarre going for the break. You know, you're going to get stunned and not get as much value as you would want to do. So a few seconds that are so important to try to get value out of a blade, especially when you don't have the nano to help you out stay alive, or a rally even. So that's where we start seeing a few other differences of the picks that both teams decide to go with. But this blade that we see on this highlights has been really good. It was what where enables St. John's to get the point for at least just a few seconds. They seem to be quite enough now. I want to see the comeback from them. They're looking really, really strong, but they just have to have the first initiation to take the advantage.
We'll see if they'll be able to get that advantage here, as now the doors are about ready to drop onto Sanctuary. Once again, St. John's needs to win the next two submaps in order to take Busan into victory. We'll see if BenTech can find that advantage here with the Soldier, that high ground. Not as dominant as it might be on a Mecha base, but it still is in existence. However, tough to contest with Bizarre this time around, and Rich on the Ashe. So a little bit of the double hit scan, a lock coming through from St. John's. As well, we see the Roadhog trying to get the damage in, trying to put pressure on the shields. Turns its attention towards the Tracer, makes her back off for just a moment. See the hooks trying to come through, not going to land onto a Brig shield, unfortunately, and Bizarre is the first one to land any sort of kills, and now St. John's are starting to lead in the advantage here as we see them trying to get onto that Mercy. Rich gets caught out by BenTech, gets the double kill. You see St. John's, again, not quite capturing this point just yet. It's going to be UCONN still trying to put up fights. They're going to have to start sending their softer characters onto the point, however, although BenTech still looking like a force to be reckoned with. Not going to be able to reckon with those tanks, however.
Was able to get 4, but it doesn't seem like it was just quite enough. Now he has to wait for the team to regroup and try to push again, but the ultimates are slowly building up, and the biggest difference for St. John's is that tank line composition where the Rojo is playing some main tank. The kills keep coming through. We see that UCONN doesn't want to give up yet.
They certainly do not, and they're already getting on to the point. The contest finally coming through from Squiggle. As we can see, the Pulse Mine going out, doesn't land on anything. Q might be wanting that one back. Either way, Mr. Koala Man gonna be trying to throw in some Zarya damage here. Has the grab, decides not to use it for this fight, at least not yet. As now St. John's continues to lean in, and UCONN might be a little bit on the retreat here.
And the confidence definitely going for the side of St. John's, starting to build up slowly just because of that nano going through. We do say that the Zarya is going to be having that graviton surge to use at any point very early on. If you're able to take the advantage because of that, you might just get to the 70%, which is ideal situation for this point that gives you the confidence that you can win. And the biggest opportunity for UCONN is going to be the Tactile Visor coming through.
See the Gravitic Flux coming online from Mitben. Not able to find a whole lot of damage, but the follow-up is sure enough there. It's going to be a lot of members from the side of St. John's falling. Although they held it to 65, that's about where it stops.
They will start getting percentage for themselves. They're looking pretty good as well, but also looking at St. John's is going to be very risky. They might just throw Bob into point, and that's just going to put a lot of pressure into the support item to try to stay alive, to try to make sure they don't get picked. When you have this Mercy and this Zenyatta, it just might not be enough heals for the damage that Bob might have, and especially knowing that on the other side we can have Bizarre on the flank.
You see Rich sending Bob in on to the point. It's going to cause a little bit of a distraction to come through, but it's on to St. John's to try to take advantage of it. And so far, not a lot of St. John's rushing the point to really help out Bob. BenTech does drop the Tac Visor, trying to do the damage, while Transcendence from Ali keeps everybody on their team alive. We're now looking towards St. John's to try to make some sort of recovery, especially as Mr. Koala Man gets that nano boost, but it all seems for not so far, as St. John's not quite capable of striking back. At least I say that until Bizarre drops a double kill on the Tac Visor of their own, one of those including themselves.
He does get taken out at the end, and the percentage is looking pretty even so far. Seems like University are connected, so he's gonna be able to push the advantage, especially with his Flux.
You see the Flux come online, but Squingle gonna so far survive the majority of that thanks to the projected barrier from Koala Man. Now, looks like St. John's setting up for another opportunity here. Not a lot of ults in favor of either side, so St. John's might have the advantage considering they did just get the elimination onto Q. Bizarre wrapping around onto side. Drum trying to find out that Mercy can't quite land the shots. Instead, directs their focus towards that Zenyatta. Removing the Discord Orb from the fight certainly going to help. They have the backup of Rich, and with that, they net the value. Sigma soon to follow after, although the res did come through, it didn't mean a whole lot for the side of UCONN.
They're going to try to fight this point, try to stay here, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. They might just lose it now. And we do see 666 that for the side of St. John's, they start getting. This could be a one last fight territory, though. It's to start getting taken down. Then that would be the best opportunity that they have. But for the side of the UConn, in those last few seconds that we saw, they were able to build those support ultimates that are so important here.
The pile driver coming in from Rabbit as an initiation tool, but Rabbit takes quite a bit of damage. The Transcendence comes out in response to the Graviton Surge. Mr. Koala Man not able to achieve much, but does eventually lose Ben Pecky in the end as Rich has that pulse bump. Although Dinosuke once again dropping the res onto the soldier. Can't say I blame it, given the performance we've seen from that player. And now it looks like UConn are well on their way to getting that 100%. It's all a matter of time before it ticks down. That's gonna be it. UConn takes Busan.
And no one was able to touch at the end. Very unfortunate situation if you're on the side of St. John's, but it was very, very close. We can recognize that. And yeah, even though they do win this 2-0 so far, they still once again have the opportunity on the other maps, and they do have the understanding. Even though Genji was a very risky play that we could recognize, I think I do want to see. I want to keep seeing this because it does have the potential to give more value for the future matches.
Certainly the opportunity for a lot of value here. I liked some of the plays we did see coming through from both sides. UConn just looking a lot more determined, a lot more dedicated. Not dedicated, but a lot more proficient than St. John's. Sometimes that's just the way it goes. St. John's going to need to tighten up a little bit. On the plus side, that was control, which sometimes a little bit more of an equalizing factor. So St. John's definitely has an opportunity as we go into the more objective-based modes.
Yeah, and again, it was looking very, very close for them once they were able to take control of the point. They knew how to hold it a little bit better, but they were struggling and just figuring out a way to try to take it when they didn't have it, and especially because UConn was the one taking the advantage, was the one pushing forward right at the beginning of the maps, and making sure they were able to get that initial percentage that sometimes can be so, so important, even when the fight hasn't even been won yet. So that's one of the key factors why we can see them. But overall, the compositions were looking a little bit different for the side of St. John's. They were playing the Roadhog and they were also playing the Zarya, which is really, really good, but it just forces the Roadhog to make sure he's creating enough space for the team, even when you have the point in your control. So if we're going to be seeing this Roadhog again, because we recognize he's a very strong hero and has a one-shot potential, it has to be creating more space for the team.
And you definitely need to be getting some aggression with that Roadhog. You trade that shielding capabilities for the damage that the Zarya and Roadhog can put down as well. Like I mentioned a little bit, Roadhog good at protecting against those flanks, which kind of puts the Roadhog in a tough spot. Do you protect the flanks and kind of keep an eye towards your back, or do you keep pressing forward ahead, finding that location where you can optimize your space? A question that I think St. John's is going to have to toy around with a bit more.
Yeah, definitely, because that also puts, depending on what the support lineup looks like, you usually have to peel at least for each other to make sure everyone's stay alive. So this is why we might see teams not really opting for playing this Roadhog, by playing those safety heroes that they know they will be able to protect, maybe a Diva, maybe a Sigma, where you can also just keep an eye on everyone while without really having to play too aggressive to make sure you're getting value and you're getting the point.
However, before we move on, St. John's going to be needing to do some sub outs as well. So we will be taking a brief little break here, folks. Stay tuned. Can St. John's adapt? You'll have to find out after the break. Welcome back, friends, one and all, as we are heading into Blizzard World UConn versus St. John's. It's going to be University of Connecticut up 1-0 here off the back of Busan. Sir Waltham and Dryad at it again. Dryad, we're now looking at Blizzard World. What do we expect?
We already see a little bit of the picks that we're going to be seeing on the side for UConn on this defense. They're going to be playing this Wrecking Ball, the Sigma, which is a little bit more of the meta that we're expecting teams to be playing. But they're also playing those two Hitskins, that Soldier 76 along with Ash is going to be very, very interesting to see how much value they can get out of this too, because it's not the expected composition. We usually expect one of the Hitskin. If we're going to be seeing two, it's usually going to be the Widowmaker, maybe along with the Ash. But this is a very unique DPS lineup. And in the meantime, for the side of St. John's, they have the same idea of playing their Roadhog and Sarah, which I think they can get value out of, but they need to make sure they're taking this high ground and getting close to the enemy.
Ooh, and they can take the high ground all they want, but losing Bazaar is going to hurt either way. St. John's now going to have to be very aggressive to push in without that Hanzo. We see Mr. Koala Man trying to get a hold of that Wrecking Ball, does find it, but looks like we're going to be taking a brief pause. Even the game is going to need a moment to struggle to understand what just happened there. Now, hopefully no disconnects. You always hate to see that ultimate drop back down to 0.
Yeah, and we're going to see what happened. But that first pick, we saw them getting into the hands is ideal. They were pushing forward, and I did like the strategy of just trying to take the high ground, because that's how you can take advantage with the Roadhog and Zarya. But after that, you do have to have the 6 members, so it's not going to get any value. So it's a very, very risky situation. But now we can keep going with the gameplay.
Now, certainly now going to be leaning back into it. St. John's having the opportunity here. Looks like not a whole lot of drops, just perhaps a momentary pause for connections. Rich going to be taking down Tainozuki, meaning that there's not going to be any res available for the defending team. St. John's going to be looking to lean into this. At least they would if Ben Techie didn't take down that Lucio. The lack of speed might hamper St. John's just a little bit. And right now they really need to get a grip onto Ben Techie, because it just looks like that soldier's running a rough shot. Eventually Rich does find the capitalization, but all right, might be a little bit too late. Now it's the tanks that St. John's has to deal with. Question is, will they be able to? They're both pushing up onto this Sigma, really trying to get the damage on to Mitbano. But doesn't look like they're falling too immediately. It will, however, eventually go the way of UConn.
He's just doing pretty much whatever he wants on this soldier, and he's getting so much value. Yeah, he does get taken out at the end. That's putting a lot of pressure into St. John's University, who still have to figure out how they want to engage here. They do have the right idea, though. Taking the high ground would be the best situation for them, and especially with that whole hog, but they need to get closer with UConn.
As we see, UConn still maintaining this high ground position, a dominant spot given the early picks that Q got in the last fight. And now they notice that this soldier is located all off by himself. Gulpin going to be able to get regrouped with their team relatively easy. However, Mr. Koala Man going in for the hook, but gets punished for it, not able to defend themselves, not able to take a breather. Because of that, they just get burned down, but so does a Rabbit, meaning that those mines not going to be on the field immediately. At least that is until the res from Tainozuki comes in to keep the player back alive. As we look now, St. John's struggling to get ahead here, and looking to fight for every square inch of this map that they can. Bazaar trying to use the sonar arrows to discover anybody that they can take advantage of, but UConn's not really keen to let that happen just yet. Dryad.
Even with the 6 ultimate abilities, that's definitely intimidating for the side of St. John's. They're going to start using them, taking the advantage, getting picks for themselves.
It looks like the Gravitic Flux doesn't find a whole lot. Rich catching the grab onto the barrier for the Sigma. But it's going to be Rabbit who drops the minefields, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, gets 2 with it, and looks like that's going to be just enough for UConn to stabilize here. Ben Techie turning that corner, whipping the rockets into Slurpee.
And a lot of ultimates that had to be used for the side of UConn. We were talking about how they had 6, and now, well, they had to use 5 of them. But look at Midben already with 76% for getting that flux again, so they're looking really, really good. Only 1 minute remaining for St. John's to make something happen in this attack, and it's not looking too good without the grab.
So really not looking too great at all. They do have the nano coming through, but yeah, ideally would have liked to save that grab for Bazaar to combo with. However, as they look ahead, the only thing they'll have to deal with from the enemy team is going to be that Valkyrie, so keep an eye out for that. Q, once again, taking down Bazaar. Bazaar seems to get caught in these weird rotations, or in the rotations that St. John's are just not able to protect them in. Now it's going to be both DPS taken down in an uncomfortable spot as they have to push ahead, try to get to point, but UConn still has those man advantage numbers as now they're looking to try to lean in here. We do see Bizarre now trying to regroup with their team. Is the Hanzos they can play from a little bit farther back, but now it's going to be Slurpee who drops a no nano available for the side of St. John's. Looks like the numbers are all but done bleeding out, and with that, not really a lot that can touch point, and because of that, St. John's doesn't make nary a tick.
And another full hold that we see, UConn doing really good on the defense. The ultimate economy looking pretty good. Even when they invested a lot, they knew that how to play slow, how to make sure that they were not getting picked right at the beginning. That's what made the whole difference. They are doing so good over and over again. And once again, there are a few times where St. John's was trying to, it seemed like it was they were going to take the advantage and they were getting some initial picks, but they weren't able to capitalize out of them. So that was really affecting them. They have a big challenge here in trying to hold the defense. I'm not sure if not having a shield is going to be enough because Saria has done an amazing job making sure everyone gets taken down really fast. But when you are defending, you're not going to be having that energy that you want to get.
It's going to be a very tough position here, but St. John's are probably going to be leaning into the defense, to the stationary defense a little bit heavily. We see Bizarre coming out with the Torbjorn. And yeah, it looks like they're actually going to be walking through the choke, so this isn't just a stay and spawn and fool the casters type situation.
Yeah, we already see the picks that they're going for, and that Roadhog and Sigma are looking pretty good. I do like seeing the Sigma, like we were talking, definitely better than the Zarya for this defense. But again, it's not going to be easy. You do have the Sar on the Torbjorn, and that just means that you need to make sure you're staying alive, that the turret is getting value, and that's a lot of pressure, especially when we look at that 1v1 between Gulpin and also for the soldier on the other side. The soldier 1v1 was making the entire difference. Where whoever gets the ultimate first is going to take the advantage.
And you need to be very careful here if you're St. John's. You have to try to put some pressure on, but without feeding your lines of sight over to those Widows, to those Ashes. And immediately, it's going to be Mr. Koala Man taken down by the Ash. This time the Dynamite, though, not the giant rifle, firing those massive slugs. As we look, Gulpin on this high ground, trying to throw down a little bit of threat towards the DPS of the attacking team, but UConn not seeming too bothered by it, does eventually take down the turret of Bizarre, meaning that now St. John's in a more vulnerable position. Rich actually getting the breather interrupted, able to walk away to a relative safety, at least waiting for their breather to build back up. Does have an amazing amount of stall coming through from that tank player. It's going to be the anti-nade on to Mitben, who does eventually end up falling. And St. John's so far looking like they're doing a great job of holding. It's just going to be dealing with a Rabbit on this Wrecking Ball. Eventually she's dealt with, but Q might have just put the nail in the coffin. Even if the team doesn't win this fight, St. John's is now at a very great loss for members. UConn can get regrouped. They have an advantage here.
And they were taking a little bit too long into the fight when they know they have to regroup really early on, but now they do have the ultimate economy. Throwing Bob into point might just put enough pressure for St. John's to fall down. That's exactly what they want here, and especially before the Transcendence is built.
And UConn gonna be dropping, or is gonna be losing Ali early on into that Gulpin from on high, trying to put a little bit of damage with attack visor, but it just sinks right onto Bob, not able to do a whole lot of damage with that. Now UConn starting to swarm the point with these multiple long lines of sight. It's gonna be the Roadhog from Rich being the last opportunity of hope here, but gets knocked out of the way by the Wrecking Ball. Liana now has to tag in, sleeps a Rabbit, but there's only so much you can do when you're facing down the rest of the team. And with that, it's gonna be University of Connecticut take their second points.
UConn coming up on top, doing really good on the attacking, on the defense as well, like we mentioned. I think the biggest highlight would definitely be the defense, where they were always getting those initial picks from the beginning when they were able to take the star down on that hand. So that just put definitely a statement that they were going to be the dominant team here, and we are definitely seeing this from them. They're like, oh, this is match point.
This is a very good spot for UConn. We were talking about these teams needing to kind of separate their score lines, right? They're tied at that 1-3, and it looks like UConn's looking to make that a 2-3. And St. John's might just have to take a knee on this one, but you always do it in the hopes of finding that tape, getting the reviews in, improving your skills for the next time. But St. John's, they're not quite out of it just yet. There is an opportunity for the recovery.
Yeah, there definitely is. And for the defense, it actually lasted a little bit longer. So they had some opportunities to do so, but it just became very, very impossible when not everyone was together. The soldier got taken down, then everyone else when you don't have the supports as well. So at this point, if you're St. John's, you want to play into the comfort picks that you have rather than to counter. Maybe they're playing something that they believe was at some point meta, which definitely was, but not being able to get as much value as you would want to would definitely be a sign to try something else. Maybe you can get value if you want to see a dive, if you want to see maybe a brawl again, or if they want to come up with something completely different, this is a big opportunity to do so.
Certainly is. St. John's going to need to put the brakes on for UConn's momentum to be halted at all here because we're certainly looking at very clean so far. As we now look to head into our next map, it's going to be Hanamura. And I don't know, you have to be a little bit hopeful for St. John's, but even when we've seen good performances on Hanamura, it doesn't quite deliver just enough.
Yeah, and it just comes to the same subject that we mentioned over and over again. First of all, it's what composition they're going to run for the attack, especially because that's going to make the difference into how you want to deal with the choke that is so hard to pass through. And once you get that, then for the defense, how you're able to hold into second point. The high ground is a very good strategy, but usually when you see wrecking balls, we see divas, we see everyone else being very, very disruptive and pushing everyone down. So the moment that the attacking gets that first initiation, gets a high gun, it's pretty much over for the defenders. It's going to be so much harder for them to try to do anything to get as much value as they would want to. And we're already seeing UConn is going to start here on the defense. They are playing the Sigma and the Roadhog, so one shot opportunity, one shot potential for them to come through as well from this hero.
Am I misremembering? I thought Rich was on the DPS role a little bit earlier. I'm going to be seeing them on the Zarya right now either way. However, immediately walking headfirst into Benteki's turret. Going to be taking quite a bit of damage there. Although they are able to get it healed back up, that's going to feed their supports a little bit of ult charge, but going to feed UConn a little bit of ult charge on their DPS as well. Midvent tries to go for the hook, knowing that that Rhine shield is dangerously low. Doesn't quite land onto it. It's going to be the McCree. Tries to stun out that Roadhog, but you can't fan the hammer into a giant body like that. Now UConn has the advantage. They're going to be pressing on towards St. John's, who's going to be taking this upward rotation Dryad.
They will be taking the Hagner, but I don't know how much value they can get out of it, knowing that they lost a few members is not going to be easy. And now UConn already knows what they're doing. They're going to prepare for it. On the other side, Ash is going to try to get a few picks. Q has had a really good performance, and Banka already coming up on top. Is that pick into Lucio?
Q gonna be maintaining those spawns, making sure that nobody can get back to point. Rich on this high ground, taking a little bit of a nap. It's the shield that's gonna go up, and a big pin onto the Roadhog. Midbend taking it down early. St. John's has at least one opening here, but they have to be careful not to let Dino get the res. Even better if they can get the kill onto Dino. Doesn't look like the res is going to come through, but no kills onto the Mercy either. St. John's now finally making their way towards this point after a minute and a half. It's going to be the Coalescence that enables them to just get a little bit more reinforcement, but they have to be very careful as that Reinhardt receives an anti-nade, can't get healed, and because of that, eventually drops to Rabbit. You see Gulpin up on that high ground, trying to maintain that long out-of-arms length damage. St. John's does deliver a few of the kills. It's going to be Mitben as well, trying to just hold down Benteki, trying to play with that Torbjorn, but eventually it does fall. Gulpin trying to lock it down, can't sink the shots into the Zarya. Doesn't matter, that point is still getting some progress.
Everyone from the side of UConn at the end is trying to stay in point, trying to wait for a little bit longer, but it didn't seem like it was enough. They needed more time. It's not looking too bad for them, though. Yeah, there is a lot of time still remaining for St. John's to get to the second point, but they might not have the biggest advantage. And actually does get the pick into Q.
A good opening there, as now Dinosuke not going to be having that res up for the next fight. UConn gonna be waiting this out, taking it as slow as possible so they can get that cooldown back. Gonna be keep throwing in some dynamite, trying to get some of that big blast damage, and the Earth Shatter comes in, but it's halted by the Gravitic Flux. It's gonna have to be Mr. Koala Man keeping the shield up as much as possible so they don't lose too much health, lose too much life, or their entire life, I suppose. As now UConn trying to maintain with Q's sightlines on high. There's not a lot that can deal with them from the side of St. John's. Gulpin have to really try to find those shots, but they need to clear off this high ground in the first condition. As now they start to back up and retreat. They don't want to take this fight any more than they already have.
They're going to back up for just a few seconds. That Roadhog gets a pick into the loser, so now you definitely are not going to have speed or enough heals like you would want to have from the side of Sid Jones. But a lot of ultimates that will be coming through if you're able to combine the Graviton Surge along with the Death Blossom that might just get the initial picks to push forward into the point. So this would be ideal winning condition for St. John's. On the other side, UConn does have a big chance here as well. Q has done an amazing job so far in this dash.
And we'll still have that Bob in for next fight. Gonna be throwing it right onto the high ground with them. Bob taking the twin shots, meaning that Q has a little bit of that reinforcement. It's gonna be helping to seal off the high ground from St. John's. He does eventually go spawn side to try and get some sort of damage and try to get some rotations in. But now we're seeing the nano boost go onto the Roadhog. That Roadhog gonna be able to deal a lot of damage with the boosted shotguns coming through. Going to be onto this course to try to keep Mr. Koala Man alive, and Bizarre coming in with the Reaper, drops the Death Blossom, finds the Torbjorn, but gets hooked for their efforts. Mitven gonna be able to take down a one, make it two with the whole hog. Open finds the final shot onto that Roadhog. So close to getting one tick up and online. It's now gonna be the Mei coming out. Q not able to stall as the headshot drills that Mei into the ground. Now trying to find the Ana Gulpin. Not quite able to land onto the hitbox of the elderly grandma. We're seeing some different tanks come out from UConn, trying to get on Mitven onto that Winston to deal with the Widowmaker. First tick has already been given up. We are seeing the grab come out from St. John's, trying to lock everybody down, but Q on this Mei does hold on to the point, stalls out for just a little bit longer, 50% and upwards ticking for St. John's Dryad.
And they are going to get this point. They still have a lot of time remaining, so they're looking pretty good for St. John's. This is a very similar scenario to what we saw before. Some teams are just very good at attacking, and for St. John's, it definitely took them a little bit longer, but they're happy they're able to get this 2 points. Now, the biggest challenge, once again, is going to be seeing UConn, how they're going to engage, what composition they're going to run. Once St. John was able to get a few picks, they knew that was the momentum that they needed to get first and second point, and it lasting a little bit longer than expected. But once again, as long as you can get them, that just might be enough if they want to take the advantage on this map.
As we can see that Reaper going in for the Death Blossom, but Mitman not going to allow them to finish it. Overall, that was a very well-played opportunity there from St. John's. I like the posting of that Widowmaker up onto the high ground. It makes it so much harder to deal with when you have to have somebody on point, otherwise it gets capped. I mean, we saw UConn try to go in with that Winston. It only cost them a little bit of tank presence on the point, and they just weren't able to hold from there.
And I was a little bit hesitant about seeing Gulping on the Widowmaker, but he definitely came through getting those picks and doing really, really good. And it was just because the positioning didn't seem to be really benefiting him, knowing that everyone was countering this Widowmaker. Everyone, the shields were available, everyone was hiding from that choke. But after that 4-second point, he definitely came up on top, getting those kills, always making sure he was able to get value of this hero, of this character, doing really good. So if you're going to see a Widowmaker, this would be a perfect opportunity to do so again.
Absolutely. And this is exactly what St. John's needed. If you look at the scoreboard, we have to remind you, this is final point for UConn to take away with the victory in this matchup. So St. John's needs to start putting some points on their board to at least turn that map differential into their favor, at least a little bit more.
And the way that we saw them already perform is a really good sign that they might be able to do so. But again, there's a lot of pressure into the defense, how they want to do it. For the side of UConn, they feel very comfortable into the compositions they've played so far. But for the side of the defense, we can already see the compositions that they're going to be running. Gulpin is actually going from the Hitskin hero to a Junkrat. So that should put a lot of damage, a lot of pressure into the shields that UConn is going to bring.
There's the goods and bads of this Junkrat. You're going to be feeling a lot of pressure if you're Rabbit's shield, but Mitben going to be at a pretty high damage charge given how much splash those grenades can do. Even 1 or 2 will fully charge Azaria's personal or projected barrier. As we see St. John's now trying to feed in some of those pills by Gulpin. Just carefully peeking these angles, going to be slowly working their way up. And as we can see already, UConn are going to be pushing through, but Bentek Techie taken down early on with the concussive mine thrown out from the Junkrat. Excellent play from St. John's as they continue to hold this point for their first push.
And the damage that we were talking about, definitely something that we can notice now, especially with this Junkrat already 51 to get the ultimate ability. That's so important on this point. We've seen some amazing plays coming through, and this might be a big opportunity to do so. They have to keep pushing the damage. There you go.
And this Junkrat is not letting them sleep. If UCONN is at the choke, they're almost certainly going to get hit with a pill. And Gulpin now looking to press here as they are so close with that tire. They're going to be letting that soldier run away, not too bothered by it, considering it's just more time bought off the clock.
Yeah, definitely. So another time for this side of UConn to regroup to figure out what they want to do. And there's a big opportunity. Bente trying to take the high ground here, trying to get a few picks, but everyone's looking at him, so that just puts more pressure. They have to figure out a way for the choke.
Oh no, it's Ryan versus Ryan, and it's Mr. Koala Man coming out superior. Gulpin sure didn't help the problem with throwing in all those bombs and concussion mines. The double kill with the Earth Shatter. There's a lot to unpack in those 2 seconds.
3 kills immediately for Gulpin with the damage only, because the ultimate ability hasn't been used just yet, and also that Shatter getting 2 more. Really good job. They are definitely struggling for the side of UConn to push here.
We do see Benteke going on to the Pharah, a risky maneuver considering how dominant that rocket or that turret can be at taking down those sky units. It's going to be UConn who are now looking a little bit weaker, and they can't quite figure out how to pierce this choke.
2 minutes remaining for the side of UConn to try to figure out something out. They still don't have the ultimate abilities that they want to have. Maybe that Death Blossom can help them out so much. They've definitely made the changes necessary, but they have to get the ultimates fast. And especially knowing that for St. John's, they're looking pretty comfortable on the choke. They don't let anyone pass.
One of these days, UConn is going to learn that you can't just peek that choke with a Gulpin. It doesn't seem like today is that day. However, Gulpin still has that tire, just holding on to it until at least UConn seems a little bit more committed, but they can't really get committed when they continue to have this man disadvantage of 5v6, 4v6, just because they keep walking into the errant pipe bomb.
And I'm just curious to see how much damage Gulpin has done so far. Absolutely amazing performance from the DPS. They don't even feel the need to use their ultimates. And 1 minute 10 seconds remaining for UConn. This is when they have the ultimate abilities. If they're not able to get value out of it now, it's going to be really hard at the end.
Oh, and a huge opening was there for Benteke. They weren't quite able to get the finishing damage onto Gulpin. The grab goes out with the Molten Core trying to deal increased damage. Not quite able to find it, however, UConn finally has the opening, but here comes the tire from Gulpin. Can they deliver? Goes right onto the Ana. No more healing available for the side of UConn. Save that Lucio. The question is, how long will it last? Rabbit taking quite a bit of damage. The Earth Shatter does come out to help secure at this point. Benteke back on with the Pharah, ready to throw down. Does deliver with a couple of rockets to Gulpin to sure up this case.
Benteke able to come up just in time to make sure to finish those finals balls, especially taking into account that, like you mentioned, Ana was taken down right at the beginning by Gulpin, so that put more pressure into them, that they won't have as much time. They need to make sure they get value out of this now. That Barrage and that Blossom are going to put a lot of damage coming from for the side of UConn, but it has to happen early on. They use every single ultimate ability to make sure they could get first point. Now they have to figure out a way into getting the high ground here.
Excellent use of those rockets coming in from Bizarre to get themselves on that high ground. However, St. John's needs to be careful, as they will be getting some point progress from the side of UConn if they're not careful. The Death Blossom coming out, Earth Shatter from Mr. Koala Man to interrupt, succeeds in taking down the Reaper, the Mercy soon to follow. And with this, St. John's continues their hold, and they might start to have a better looking time bank.
Really good cleanup from the side of St. John's again. They have a really good preparation for this map, and it definitely shows. Now, Rich is going to have that Graviton Surge to be used, and they can combine it with anything that they want. UConn is investing a lot of ultimates and not really getting as much value as they would want to. We can see once again, Ben does have the Barrage, but it's not going to be easy to get value out of it, especially with the shield. You need to figure out a way around it. Maybe when no one's looking that far on the flank might be the solution for them.
Bizarre's going to have to be very careful with Benteke being such a valuable player here. They're going to be target number 1. We see Benteke looking to creep around. It's going to be the grab going out. Doesn't land onto too much, but Rich jumping from on high, trying to deal with the Pharah, ends up finding it with the help of Gulpin. Now St. John's continuing to hold. Going to try to be punishing this wrecking ball, but Benno going to be able to get away, at least for the time being, with a little bit of health.
Over and over again, the ultimate economy for St. John's is just looking ideal. They invest about 2 ultimates, but they're able to get 2 more throughout the fight. Now, Gulpin, like you mentioned, is going to now have that ultimate to be used, and that's going to be so strong here. There's not a lot of space to work with, and UConn has to make something happen. 1 minute, 20 seconds remaining for them. Not many ultimates. Once again, that nano might not be enough.
Aside from that Junkrat, not a lot of opportunity for the instant picks. Rabbit does receive the nano boost, but gets trapped. An excellent trap placement. Gulpin buying a lot of time off the nano boost from a Rabbit, meaning they can't build up that primal as quickly. Rabbit getting burned down because of it, doesn't have the damage resistance anymore. Now the Tire's leaning in, takes out the Ana Dinosuke. Now not going to be able to keep their team alive. Both Anas now taken out of the fight, but I'd place the wager that the defensive one's going to get back in a little bit quicker. We see Venteki trying to stay on the high ground, but somebody's going to need to get to point if they want to start converting any of that point progress. Venteki is going to get the exit kill, get away, and regroup.
And we were talking about the dominance that UConn had before, but now it's definitely not looking like it. They have to, they know they don't have much time, 30 seconds remaining. They're going to start with the minefield.
A great opportunity here as Rabbit goes down. No more Winston, none of that primal rage to have to deal with. Bizarre has the attack visor from the high ground. Gonna be dropping it in. It goes and takes out Venteki, who also drops the attack visor. An excellent play coming in from St. John's, who really has the leg up in this fight. 15 seconds remain. Any exit kills they can get are gonna be great.
Ali getting the pick into the soldier, but not everyone is going to be able to regroup on time, which is the last thing that you want here in Hanamura. You want everyone to push forward. A lot of ultimates that were invested there, and doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. Someone has to touch here. Is going to be the Reaper.
It is going to be the Reaper. Liam going to be dropping that amplification matrix, burning down Rabbit. Rabbit having such a hard time getting and staying onto point. Q now just trying to slowly build up that Death Blossom, drop it right onto the supports, right onto the point if possible. Q realizing that Ana's just going to back up, stay within the relative safety. Now it's looking so good for St. John's to start their resurgence. The sleep dart goes out from Dinosuke, not able to find much. And with that, it's going to ensure St. John's comes back on Hanamura.
St. John's making the comeback that we were talking about. They're doing really good here in Hanamura. This means that it's not going to be a 3-0. We're going to have map 4 where anything could happen. Maybe St. John's just needed that initial preparation. We're definitely seeing them being very, very strong. Whatever map it is, I just want to see Gulpin once again on that Junkrat.
That was honestly fantastic to watch. Gulpin, not necessarily playing Junkrat to a huge mechanical degree, but knew how to manipulate that choke point in the way that every Junkrat should. Just fire pills, they're big enough, they'll hit something, they'll deal damage, you'll build a tire. That's all.
And this is something that you would expect other teams to know how to counter, to know how to take down this Junkrat, but the positioning was also really good from his team. Everyone was playing forward. He was protected by everyone else, by the main tanks, and also, of course, the supports making sure he was staying alive through the damage. And it happened over and over again. I believe that for the side of UConn, they had the opportunity to try to make the comeback and to have more time, if not so much time was invested into getting picked by this Junkrat over and over again.
Certainly seems to be the case, but time is not quite upon us just yet. UConn now leading 2-1 over St. John's. St. John's still has a little bit of a road to go, but we'll be finding exactly how they take that road after this brief break. Welcome back, folks. And if you were expecting this one to end in a quick 3-0, well, already you're sorely disappointed. It's going to be St. John's taking their victory at Hanamura. so far, meaning it is now a 2-1, but St. John's not quite out of the mud just yet. They still have to climb back as we head into our next map, which is going to be Havana.
Yeah, and a really, really good map to try to define this to see if UConn is going to try to get a 3-1, or if maybe St. John's is actually trying to make that comeback. That reverse sweep might be on its way. So I really, really want to see this. I already said it. I just want to see more aggression from this team when they were able to get so much damage coming through with the Junkrat. They were able to capitalize. And okay, fine, maybe Junkrat is not the best pick for this map, but I would just say go for it. I mean, if you have the momentum going, maybe you can get something out of it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly have to think so, but I mean, we look at Havana, it's going to be a little bit different from what we saw on Hanamura, so you can't quite utilize the geometry as much as you'd like. Although, one thing I'll give a little bit of credit for, Gulpin likes playing that Widowmaker. There are points on Havana where Widowmaker can play a little bit.
Yeah, and seeing this double sniper is very well known to see on this map, and we've talked about how the composition changes a little bit, and how there's the different opportunities that you have to pick. We see a lot of dives coming through here, but from what teams are showing us for the side of the defense, at least in UConn, we're going to be seeing on the Sigma being played out, having that protection, having just that shield that's going to allow for that off angle is going to be really, really good for this team. And we also are seeing Rabbit once again. She's going to be playing into that Wrecking Ball, just trying to create a little bit more space, knowing that they have the advantage if they have control of the high ground.
Already see Q trying to get in a few scrappy shots. It's going to be double sniper versus double sniper. Q holding those sight lines towards main and towards that alleyway, ensuring that there's not a huge amount of rotation that can come through. But St. John's already claiming some nice kills. Gulpin getting the kill onto Benteke. That Mercy has to commit that res, and when you have such pick potential as the snipers from these teams, it's something you'd rather not lose early on into these fights. You see St. John's sending Mr. Koala Man up top with the Winston to try to cause a little bit of disruption. Will be the Discord Orb going on to them, making them a little bit more of a vulnerable target. Now St. John's has to expend their res just to keep the Ana in the game, keep those tanks healed up as much as possible. And St. John's sputtering out just a little bit, not getting much cart progress either.
They're going to be playing this very, very slowly. They don't want to get picked right at the beginning, and this is a very smart strategy that we can see from them, which gets another pick into Ali. Not having one of the supporters is very, very bad for your team, but also you can have the rest if it's able to come through, but it's in a really bad spot.
UConn gonna be taking a loss in Q now. We do see the Dragons coming out from Benteke, but it's gonna buy actually a little bit of time for the res to come through onto Mr. Koala Man. So res is coming through for both sides, and going to be those tanks getting very aggressive here. This is what I wanted to see from St. John's, but perhaps a bit too much aggression as Benteke catches both the Winston and the Widow as a grudge against characters with W in their name, apparently, as now UConn continuing to stabilize just a little bit here.
They were able to take control once again, and that's Senyata able to come back into the fight, just enabling him to have that Discord Orb being thrown to the tanks, trying to get more value out of it. Winston is going to have that primary Rachel, like we can see, just pushing everyone all the way back. Ideally, Y1 here to take control of the high ground again.
We do see Mr. Koala Man trying their best to hold up that on high, but Slurpee falls, trying to protect them. The grab goes out, doesn't land onto too much. Going to be Mitven taken down, and now the Primal coming in for Mr. Koala Man lands smack dab onto the Widowmaker, pummeled into the corner, and a rough spot to be if you're any sort of sniper going up against an angry monkey. Now as we look, it's going to be Mr. Koala Man continuing to try to find this benefit, but gets killed on exit. St. John's just needs to regroup. This is looking a little bit sloppy.
A lot of action that we're seeing into this fight, but it's not very clear who's going to take the advantage. Of course, it's going to be the defense so far, but they've invested a lot to try to keep the position that they have. Now, the real challenge will be coming through with the ultimate abilities that they have. The Flux be coming through very early on, and that is going to allow them to try to take advantage, lift someone up, try to put some damage and push forward.
Putting down the damage. Q going to have lines of sight to wherever they need to focus that damage for the latest 15 seconds. And Benteke also going to be taking advantage of that, getting a headshot onto Bizarre. Tries to fire off as the Mercy's getting the res. Doesn't quite seem to connect, though, as they do receive that damage boost. Trying to keep themselves in the game. Take a couple of shots, but able to get healed up relatively quickly. Mitven taken down now. And again, it seems like St. John's gets the opportunity here, but they don't quite push the advantage. Again, the 2 kills are coming through. The question is, how far will the cart move off those 2 kills? Rich trying to focus down on the Widow, does eventually find it now. This cart making its way slowly towards that first.
Rich just had a really good performance on the Zarya so far. They will be pushing forward, but everyone from the side of UCONN might be able to touch just in time, and they want to do so, especially Rabbit does have that minefield to try to create more space, make sure they can get value out of it.
We do see Bob go right in behind the minefield. The Mercy getting brought dangerously low, gets burned down in the middle of the grab. Midben throwing the gravitic flux to try to lock down the opponents, but not able to find too much. The Transcendence now going to be committed from Ali to very little effect as they do get torn apart as it comes out. It's going to be the first point, still getting captured, and quite a few ultimates invested for no effect from UCONN.
Ali doing everything that is possible to try to stay alive and point a little bit longer, and it did go to overtime, but once again another opportunity to hold here. And this part of the map definitely depends on taking the high ground and taking the advantage. There's a lot of corners going on, and it really depends on trying to hold here, because holding in the last part of the map is a little bit more challenging. So I do want to see more aggression being played from the side of St. John's when you have that Wrecking Ball and when you have Rich on the Zarya.
We're going to be seeing Mr. Koalaman trying to suss out the opposing team, displace them off that high ground if possible. And Hugh is going to be getting displaced via a headshot set to the grave. So he's going to be able to res them back up for the time being. And Hugh striking back with some righteous anger coming through. Now we do see another res coming in, this time on to the Wrecking Ball. It's going to be Gulbin with the Dragons. We see the grab come out from Zarya, not comboed with the Dragons, however. So St. John's not opting for those ultimate combinations as you might like to see. UCONN so far looking very good. They're composing themselves, although they are suffering losses. They're able to maintain their positioning. They're not giving up too much. Now, despite Q going down, it looks like St. John's is still going to have to be on the back out just a little bit.
And a few extra kills coming from the side of McCree on UCONN, allowing them to play a little bit, to have more control on the high ground like they would want to. As you know, the McCree is able to just stun anyone, especially their Wrecking Ball that can be so disturbing into the high ground. Now, this could be a one last fight territory, only 50 seconds remaining for the side of the attacker. Something has to happen now, and it might be just throwing Bob into the payload.
Fortunately for Bizarre, they do have Bob to get on the payload if Rich and Mr. Koala aren't feeling up to the task. However, Benteke, waiting in the wings, has that high noon in pocket. We see the Dragons go out, Gulpin throwing it right down the side, dangerously focusing down Ali. This is a great moment for St. John's. They can continue to push forward, and now with Mr. Koala Man causing a little bit of havoc, causing the next break of the side of UCONN. It's all a question of, can UCONN regroup? It's carts moving closer and closer to second. They may not.
It doesn't seem like they will be able to regroup as much as they would want it. They do have the ultimate economy to benefit them if they're able to get here in time, but it has to happen very early on.
We do see that minefield come out from Mr. Koala Man, but the question is, can anybody make it onto Cart Rabbit? Too busy using the whole hog to be able to take a breather. Cart is still being contested, but now the kills coming in from UCONN. Benteke able to take down one. The grab goes out, but nobody there to follow up with it. Bob now from Q, gonna be thrown in just as a little insurance policy. It's the Wrecking Ball trying to stay alive, but St. John's can only do so much. They're so close to that second point, but they're not gonna make it.
And that was a really, really good job from UCONN. They were able to come back. It wasn't all at once, but one by one, they were able to use their ultimate abilities, take the advantage, and those final kills just happened in a matter of seconds now. St. John's does have the confidence that they can make it through, especially on the defense, but it's not going to be easy. Making sure that you can hold it on the first point would be ideal for them, and it has to happen by creating a lot of space, by controlling a lot of space. And the way that we usually see players do this is either with the tanks pushing forward with the Wrecking Ball, with a Diva, with a Winston, or also, like we already saw from these two teams before, having the double sniper. We know that double sniper creates a lot of space. It just doesn't really enable a lot of space for the attackers, and that's what I want to see from them. But they want to run anything right now, where it seems like we're going to bring Gulping back on the Junkrat.
That's something that you and I both gotta love here, Dryad. A definite favorite of ours so far. Gulpin looking to funnel some more of those pills down the lane, but it's gonna be a little bit harder here, a wider area to walk through, to dodge the Junkrat pipe bombs if you prefer, if you're UCONN, and too many angles that Gulpin may have to keep track of.
And if they're going to play this composition, I actually would like them to hold it really, really close to the spawn because you can have another fight even when you lose it there. And a lot of damage that will be coming through from them. So the fact that they're holding this corner is a little bit more risky when you have Zarya, when you have Junkrat, but it could definitely happen. They just have to make sure they don't get picked at the beginning, especially by Q.
Advantage of holding this corner, they're going to be able to hold more angles when the cart does eventually make that turn, with Bazaar having the turret opportunity to be set up here. Open, continuing to just fire a few pills out of the way, has to play very carefully as Q now sent long down the range. Trying to find that Ana, can't find a whole lot, and wisely St. John's backing up, allowing that Widow to not take the aggressive sidelines that they need. And Gulpin taking quite a bit of damage. Q getting trapped up means that there's an opportunity here for St. John's to push up, get aggressive without that the mobility coming through for these characters. Q finds the shot onto Slurpee, Benny Techie able to clean up, and now things are looking good for UCONN. They might have the opportunity to lead one foot in front of the other. It's just that Torbjorn trying to hold it steady. Bizarre pops the overload, throws out the rivet gun, doesn't find a whole lot. It's just going to be on the Zarya as well as the Torp when the healing comes through to try to get back on the cart and touch.
UCONN will be pushing forward, but this payload trying to get more value out of it, and they might just get the first point, but we know that Recontest might be coming through for the side of St. John's, 80% for that Graviton Surge, that it's going to really clean up the 5-0. Once again, the biggest difference is all by Soldiers and M6 taking the advantage, once again getting those picks and enabling the team to play aggressive.
As we see now, UCONN continues to press the advantage. They have 5 minutes to get through the second phase. It's gonna be Gulpin trying to get away with that soldier, bobbing and weaving, and Rich providing some good opportunity using that personal barrier, but already UCONN pushing ahead, getting up into the face of their opponents, not giving them a moment to breathe. There's not even anybody on cart at this rate. They're just looking to get these kills, as now the cart slowly making its way towards that box of victory.
Playing for picks is one of the strategies that sometimes these players decide to go for. This is definitely one of those cases. UCONN taking the advantage. Ultimate economy looking really good. About to have all 6 ultimates to try to win here. They just need one clear fight. But St. John is trying to regroup as soon as possible. They're going to also try to use everything that they can, which for the Graviton might be enough.
As now UCONN looking to control this area. Instead, they are going to get controlled just a little bit as the grab comes out from Rich. Cart continuing to make its way around. Rich takes down Dinotsuki. And that no more res, no more focused healing coming through in large bursts. But speaking of large bursts of healing, Ali going to be dropping the Transcendence to try to keep their team up. Going to be Benteki throwing in the Tac Visor as well. Dangerously low, however, doesn't have that healing beacon. Just needs to take a little bit of damage, but nobody on St. John's can find that. Cart continues to move. Cart doesn't even continue to move up. Nobody there. Again, a lot of time being built up for St. John's just by the lack of discipline to be on the cart from UCONN.
So Mr. Koalaman does come up with 2 kills. Can he get more? This is a lot of aggression going through, and finally the payload will try to start moving. A lot of changes that we see from the side of St. John's. Rich is going to be playing the Diva again, try to get speed, and this is the last chance that they have.
And Rich gonna be receiving the nano boost to give themselves that little bit more punch, and it's gonna work. Both of the supports have been gutted. It's now gonna be on to Benteki to just be the last kill of this fight, and they bought themselves a moment of stay, but St. John's still on the ropes.
And a ridiculous amount of time left anyways. 3 minutes for UCONN to try to make something happen. Yeah, they did lose that fight, and St. John is looking pretty good. They will be taking the high ground, but they still have a few more fights, and they just need one to win. So big opportunity if they want to initiate with that block. That just might be enough. Really good sleep though.
A great sleep on to Q. The focus fire is there. Both Tracers now taken out of the game, but so is the Lucio for St. John's. UCONN has the opportunity here if they can just lean into it. No shields for St. John's means they can't mitigate a lot of that damage. Gulpin's going to find that out the hard way as Mitben just finds them with those orbs from Sigma. UCONN now leading in once again. The self-destruct being forced out from St. John's, but the Baby Diva's not going to live to see the end of it. As now this cart dangerously close. It's going to have to be the Tracer coming in from Bizarre to stall out in any way, shape, or form possible. We do see that Tracer getting closer and closer to the pulse bomb, but not able to find it before they die. It's going to have to be onto the Wrecking Ball to find some sort of benefit here, but we've seen Mr. Koala Man do it once before. If anything, they can do it again. The question is, will their team be able to help them? Again, nobody really focusing the cart, and because of that, it's not really making any progress. UCONN continues to throw in, commit the ultimate of the Tac Visor, but Bizarre gets a double kill. That is so crucial here. If they can just continue on with these kills, they may be able to make things happen. In fact, no more respawns. It's just going to be the Soldier and then the Lucio. No sound barrier, no Tac Visor to keep themselves alive, but Mr. Koala Man might have different plans, as now we see the Ana trying to keep their one tank alive. Pile Driver coming in, and not again. St. John's has the respawns coming in. Benteke taken down. This might be it. They might have an opportunity here. It's going to be the Reaper coming in from Gulpin, just trying to tuck in right onto that point blast with those Hellfire shotguns. But Q looking to deliver their own brand of damage with the Pulse pistols. It's going to help UConn get to the delivery here, and that's going to be a 3-1 victory for UConn.
You can definitely delivering at the end. They struggle a little bit into that second point, but once they figure out they were unstoppable, just getting kills over and over again. Then just getting that damage, not only on Hands but on Soldier especially, I do want to highlight. Really, really amazing performance, enabling the team to play a little bit more aggressive once you have the confidence to get a pick, maybe two, and that's all that they need to take space to make sure that the supports have the confidence that they won't be taken down.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely looking like there might be a comeback for St. John's. They were definitely looking scrappy on those last few fights. It just wasn't enough. They're going to have to settle with a 3-1 scoreline, but we didn't see a 3-0 shutout. So overall, I'm pretty content, Dryad. Definitely UConn meeting a little bit more of opponents their caliber.
Yeah, and I it definitely looked like it was going to be closer, but it's not the first time that we see this. Some teams are very, very good in Hanamura, and we definitely need to highlight this. That was the case of St. John's. They were able to take the victory there, but unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough to take the entire match. You got looking pretty good. Definitely will be taking that victory for the advantage.
Absolutely. And although UConn has won, they're not quite done just yet. Now one of them has to hop into the caster's booth after a brief break. So, folks, don't miss it. We're going to go to a brief break and then we'll be back with the interview. And just like that, folks, we are back. And now it doesn't look any different, but now we're in the interview booth with Mitbin from UConn. Mitbin, welcome to the interview booth and congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Now we have just a few brief questions for you. You guys looked pretty good on over St. John's for the majority of this, with Hanamura being the exception. Where do you guys kind of consider your strengths to lie as a team? Is it your communications? Is it a particular role? Your leadership? Where do you put it?
So I think our strength really is with our DPS and our supports really. Tanks, we've had, some issues here and there just getting it together and getting our comps together. But I think we've hit our stride and we're able to make good progress everywhere.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned the timeline, and that directly connects to what I wanted to ask you. So on Hanamura, you guys were struggling a little bit more. You weren't able to take the victory on that map specifically. Do you think it was a matter of not being able to maybe push forward, or what do you think was going on there?
Yeah, I think really just a lot of our synergy didn't work. A lot of our pre-planned comps really just were not fitting well there. We had people just uncomfortable in switching into off heroes, and we just kind of all around fell apart.
Yeah, and then well, at least they were able to take the victory. So this connects to then my second question would be more of so when you see that sometimes things are not working, maybe in Namora, maybe in other maps, how do you decide to change the composition? Is there something that you prepare before into depending on what map you're playing, or depending on what's working on what the enemy team is playing?
So we have pre-planned comps pretty much going into every map, and then we go from there and just pretty much on the fly for any compositions we need to change. So sometimes it works out, but like on Hanamura, sometimes it doesn't pan out all that well.
And finally, I guess, um, on a caster level, what are some matches that you'll be excited, I guess, coming up? Are there any that you're kind of looking forward to on the horizon?
Not particularly, I don't know. I'm not too sure of how the other schools stack up, so I guess we'll see.
All right. Well, the plus side of that is that every game looks to be a challenge. But Mitt Ben, thank you for coming in here answering a few of our questions. Before I let you go, do you want to give you the opportunity to give any shout outs?
Um, I want to shout out Ali Zenyatta for not playing Brig when we ask him to.
Well, and when there's supports players, what else can you do? But once again, thank you, Mitt Ben, for hopping in to chat with us. And congratulations over your win on St. John's.
Thank you very much.
Now, with that Dryad, we are about ready to conclude UConn versus St. John's. However, give us just a little moment, folks. We will be moving on to our next map here in about 20 or so minutes with Canisius College versus Fairfield. We'll let you know. Stick around. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to EGF Season 2. We are on our fifth and final game of the night. Canisius College versus Fairfield University. Sir Waltham and Dryad going to be closing it out for you tonight. Dryad, these teams, there's definitely some winners and potential losers coming through here.
Yeah, last match that we're going to be seeing today, and unfortunately, one of them cannot win. One of them will be taking the defeat here, but anything can happen. Fairfield and Canisius, when we're looking at the scores that they've had so far, they're pretty even. They're not really on the top. They're not really in the bottom. They're kind of in the middle of the table where we're able to see the score so far. So I think that's something to take into account. That it's still trying to settle what teams decide to play, how teams feel comfortable going against each other, because none of them have really gone against each other before and this on this week. So very important to take that into account and to see how they're able to adapt on time.
Yeah, and interesting, or I guess advantageous that we're seeing Canisius here because they've only played 3 games so far. Most of the teams throughout this league have played 4, so going to definitely get a better feel for how they might chalk up as we get a broader range of data and allows us to analyze things a little bit better. But so far, statistically, they sit a little bit higher than their opponents in Fairfield. Fairfield at about a 1-3 win-loss rate. Canisius at a 2-1. So the numbers there leaning a little bit more towards Canisius, but again, not so out of the park that Fairfield's just going to get walked over.
Yeah, again, we haven't really seen the teams going against each other before, so we can't really speculate exactly what the scoreline is going to look at the end. But we do have the scores from them before, which might be a good sign. So anything could happen. Canisius might have a little bit of an advantage, but there's been a lot of changes in Overwatch recently, and that just gives us a hint that any sort of composition might give Fearful the advantage here.
As has been for the rest of this evening. We're going to be starting off on Busan as our control map. These teams will be getting into the map here very momentarily, but Dryad, kind of give us a recap of what we've been seeing and therefore what we might expect to see going ahead.
Okay, so we've seen a lot of that brawl style composition coming through. We've seen a lot of damage and a little bit more of trying to play aggressive, getting value out of it over than playing for those rotations, playing for picks specifically. Everyone wants to kind of push forward and see how much they can get value out of it. And coming into this match, coming into Busan, any sort of composition is viable here. It could work. We see a lot of brawl, and for these two teams, where it might be a hint that for Fairfield we might see that brawl style coming through. In the meantime, for Canisius is going to be that dive. I do like seeing the dive a little bit more here, and that's just because you have the access to the high ground a little bit easier, and that's going to have you let you have a better positioning once you take control of the point. So I want to see this happening from them right at the beginning.
Huge possibilities coming in from Yuba. They are on that Junkrat, and we've seen Junkrats perform very well, even just as far as tonight goes. Special K going to get pushed up upon by WLK, and initially, already Canisius getting some early kills. Yuba going to be taking down masks with that concussion mine from the Junkrat, now going to be wrapping around, and Fairfield might start feeling the chokehold here. If they're not careful, they can start easily getting swarmed. See Yuba choosing those mines, the traps as well. The Mayhem's trying to come out, not going to be finding too much. Fairfield so far getting that point progress, being very close to getting the first cap. Tiger is dancing around that point. Both of these tanks playing very carefully around WLK, who can be such a big damage dealer to those big meaty targets. It will eventually be Canisius College unable to hold that point for forever. Fairfield are going to take the possession of the first flip. They're going to start taking up that point progress.
They will be taking that 10% already, and they're looking pretty good. Fairfield University is going to be having that coalescence coming into the next fight to try to take control a little bit earlier. Canisius has to build those ultimates as well, but it's going to take them a little bit longer. The sound barrier, though, might keep them alive.
Nice hack on the Frankenbunny. Prevents them from relocating as quickly, but the follow-up damage can't quite be there from great aspects. Wrench has the grab, but with the Winston getting taken down early from Special K, may not yield a whole lot. Yuba throws in the tire to try to shift things in Canisius' favor, and so far, seems like it's going to pay off. Frankenbunny actually getting hacked mid-res, not going to be able to bring Canisius up to full force. That means Fairfield has a little bit of a moment of reprieve here. Wrench might throw out this grab. It's going to have to be on a Tiger to try to catch it and eat it. Wrench not going to be given the option here. Spudnator manages to get out of that EMP range, but WLK, under no effects of the EMP, drops the Death Blossom. Canisius receives the sound barrier, from Devil, meaning they are going to be staying alive for just a little bit longer. But Fairfield not giving up any of this point progress means that Canisius not going to be able to build up those points towards victory. Now Canisius coming through with some of the kills. Adric bringing dangerous threat to that Winston, but gets caught out by Spudinator. Now Canisius finally gets this point flip, but 75% over to Fairfield's not bad.
Canisius does take the point, and they're doing really, really well. They do have that Death Blossom in case Fairfield wants to brawl into point. They do have that tool to try to keep everyone alive, but it's not going to be easy though. In the meantime, for the side of Fairfield, like you mentioned, 75% for them. So one fight and maybe a half should be enough for them to take the victory. Oh, but they can't get picked like that.
And Yuba going to be throwing in a tire after that. A little bit risky considering they already had the advantage and the team was leaving, but the 3 kills with the tire not going to be bothering them too much.
They do feel pretty comfortable after getting that 3K on Junkrat. We were talking about how strong this hero is when we see you played at this level of Overwatch, and definitely performing really, really well so far. But Fairfield gets another shot to try to take their point back. Coalescence to initiate in the Graviton Surge. If it doesn't get eaten by the D.Va, might just be enough for them to win here.
Yuba starting to feel some of the pressure, gets hacked out. Not going to be able to utilize those concussion mines or the traps, but still has the left click as WLK will find out. Wrench holding on to this grab, has to play it very carefully if they want to find some of the success here. Get walked up on, and Tiger going to be closing the distance, putting the hurt onto this Zarya. Holding onto this grab for too long might start costing him.
And the final kills also that end up coming through for the side of Canisius. They will be passing that percentage and will be getting to around 80% before the next fight happens. Wrench has been taking this ultimate ability. Juga gets another kill now. But you're not going to be having that Sombra for the next few seconds. That's more pressure the Fairfield has to make something happen here, especially having that EMP almost ready.
WLK now choosing to go into the skies with the Pharah. Although Yuba might be trying to answer with this rip tire of their own. Takes down a Wrench. That Zarya not going to be able to use the grab once again. I mentioned it before, but this might be costly here for the side of Fairfield, as now we see Canisius getting in some of these final kills that they need. They just need to clear out the point. The D.Va Bomb going online from Tiger. The Winston bubble to buy a little bit more space. Overtime burns down, and Canisius takes the first point here on downtown.
Everyone gets taken down, especially by that self-destruct from Tiger right at the end. Perfect timing. And yeah, we were mentioning Wrench wasn't able to have that Graviton Surge. It was actually 3 times where we saw this Zarya trying to get value, trying to pull this, but getting taken down immediately. So that just means that the pressure from Canisius is definitely working out for them. They know how to push the advantage, how to create more damage so that they're able to make something happen to take control of the point again. And at the beginning, it just seems like Fairfield was very, very dominant, but it didn't come through at the end.
Certainly not. However, there is another opportunity here as we head into Mecha Base. We're going to be seeing the Reinhardt Zarya come out from both sides. Makes a little bit of sense. Mecha Base tends to be the more brawly map.
And I really, really like seeing this brawl. This means that the fight is going to happen here before anyone gets taken down. A lot of aggression coming through, a lot of opportunities to build the ultimate abilities. Anyone can take the advantage here because of this mirrored tank line.
We do see WLK taking advantage of Soldier's capabilities towards that high ground, going up across the way. Now Fairfield striking hard and fast first this time around, forcing great aspects into that May cryo freeze, but the wall comes up, doesn't quite block off anybody as needed, but we'll put a little bit of pressure onto Canisius, and Fairfield do get the first flip, so a lot of advantages going for them still.
Definitely, they do take that 4% they will be using now. They have to play this very, very smart. That May wall also enabling them to isolate everyone that they need to get the final kills. Now it's a matter of just cleaning it up, and that's going to force Canisius to wait an extra few seconds before they're able to regroup. This is a very, very good strategy from them. Especially Canisius is going to be having so many ultimates coming through. The grab is building up slowly, but in the meantime, having those supports to play a little bit more aggressive would be ideal.
And Fairfield getting that May punished means that now Canisius might have the opportunity to lead with the strong foot. They're going to be looking to get the Earth Shatter in from Adric. This small tunnel makes everybody just a little bit more vulnerable. Going to be really trying to put pressure onto that Rhine Shield. Special K actually receiving a nano boost, taking as much benefit as they can, but getting locked down means they can't swing as heavy as they'd like. Spudinator, however, going to drop the high noon. Definitely put the hurt down there. Great aspects landing the icicles where they need them. WLK now taking a little bit of time out of their day to get onto this high ground with the tack visor. Although I'm not going to be opting into using that just yet. I'm in fact going to be giving up this point relatively easily.
And it just takes the control of the point finally. And now they're looking so much better than we saw them before. But Fairfield does have a huge amount of ultimate abilities that Blizzard to initiate would be ideal, not really letting anyone run away.
Blizzard actually doing its work to take down the tire. WLK now going to be leading in with the tack visor of their own. Trying to force that Ana off the high ground, going to be succeeding in that aspect. As now WLK continues to reign from on high. It's gonna have to be the Reinhardt trying to charge to shift position, taking out Adric right into the pin of a wall. However, leaving the spot to allow the res to come through from the Mercy ensures that Fairfield is gonna be so far so good for this fight. Canisius College now losing the point once again.
Fairfield taking control of the point again, but once again they did use a lot into that fight. Now, very risky situation for them, but they should be able to get at least to that 80% so they feel comfortable. They know that it could be one last fight territory, but they have to play this smart, and the best way to do so is going to be delaying conditions as much as they can. It seems like Maywall would be the strategy for this.
They certainly will, but Canisius a little bit tuned into that. They're going to take a different route instead, going in through the lower ground. Not going to be able for great aspects to catch them up as immediately. However, the Maywall does eventually go up, although it is broken and allows the rest of the team to group together. Canisius landing a big Earthshatter onto 3. That's going to be enough for Fairfield to start losing members. Although the May trying to keep herself alive, it's only a matter of time. Fairfield now at the 99, but they don't have control.
And one last fight territory for Fairfield, if they know how to engage here, is not going to be easy, but they do have the tools to do so. Wrench has to get that Graviton Surge to make something happen here, as well as the Shatter coming through very early on. Those initiation tools are going to be the key to win here.
Yuba has the tire, but you can't use the tire if you're dead. Fairfield starting off strong once again. The Earthshatter tries to come in, but blocked by their own Maywall. Very unfortunate. Their great aspects not performing that as well as they perhaps should have. Special K actually going in for the Earthshatter, but gets frozen right after the Shatter, means they can't close on all that damage. May kind of repaying the mistake she made a little bit earlier, but Adric pays the price here now as the Reinhardt gets taken down. An anti-nade onto the May means that Canisius College is going to be able to lean in just a little bit, trying to time that pin with the Cryo Freeze. Not quite able to, however, as Spudnator trying to cut down that May bits and pieces, eventually does find success in that as Canisius pushes back Fairfield once again.
The Soldier definitely coming up on top in the ZPS duo, but is getting as close as they could be. Both of the teams are going to be having over the 95%, which is definitely one last fight territory. Someone has to win, and WLK gets taken out right at the beginning. This is not a good start for them.
Yeah, but somebody from Fairfield is going to be able to get onto point. Great aspects. Is going to have that Blizzard on hand as well. The Reinhardt going to be coming out. The Blizzard actually gets canceled. Going to be great aspects taking the death as the Blizzard leaves their hands, meaning it's not going to go out onto the field. A costly mistake for Fairfield, not able to keep their May alive for long enough. It's now going to be WLK dropping the tack visor on the low ground, not able to get up into the high. It's going to be Zarya throwing in the grab, trying to get WLK away from that point. Not able to succeed, but able to lock down that soldier for long enough to take them out. Now Tiger just having to be the tank player with their Reinhardt to try to deliver the pain here, as it's just the Reinhardt and the Mercy and the Sombra trying to keep their team alive and their hopes and dreams in this game. The res comes up. Adric back on the board, has the Earthshatter, lands it onto 2. The cleanup is there, takes out the Mercy, goes for a pin, doesn't find quite anything, and with that overtime ticks down. Canisius takes Busan.
Very, very close Busan though, and that just leaves us very, very excited for the future maps that we're going to be seeing. Canisius does take the victory here, and they do so really, really well. Just those engagements, making sure that they're able to take the advantage, is exactly what gave them the fight here. But once again, now, like we always talk about, Control is a map where anything can happen, and the fact that it was so even could mean that for the future map, Perfect can take the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of the equalizer there when it comes to that Control map. You make a great point. Fairfield, you know, they may have only shown us a bit of their true power. We might have yet to see their final form. Hopefully, we might see that develop as we move on to our next maps here. It's going to be looking like Blizzard World once again for the hybrid map moving ahead.
The last 2 matches that we saw, it was a full hold on Blizzard World, but I don't think this is going to happen again with the level that these 2 teams are playing at. this seems like they might be able to push the payload a little bit forward here on Blizzard World. And that's exactly what I want to see, a little bit more aggression coming from both of them, because they have really good ways of attacking, of defending. And it's just a matter of really having that coordination with your team, what's really going to make the difference.
We'll see exactly how that coordination goes into play here. Worth noting, I am getting word that we will have these two teams swapping sides, so make sure you don't get fooled by that when we do go into the game here. But Triad, are there any characters or any players that seem to be standing out to you in terms of performance so far?
Well, it's been very, very close, but I always like highlighting those soldiers. Always getting value, always getting those picks. It seems like it's such an essential pick on the current meta that you simply can ignore. Sometimes you can get away with playing other heroes, but every time that we saw a soldier, he was able to capitalize out of this hero every single time. So when I keep seeing him more, I think this could be a big difference into Blizzard War. Well, you need a lot of space when there's a lot of space for the attackers, for the defenders, and if you're just able to land a few headshots, that just enough to force everyone back to play a little bit slower.
And we've definitely been seeing a lot more of that soldier play and a lot more effective soldier play coming through ever since we saw the recoil changes, where now it's not a direct bloom, but more so something you can compensate for rather than just a little bit of RNG. And so far, it seems like the players are liking it. When you're putting down as solid a performance as some of these teams, I can't say I blame them.
Definitely, and we have also highlighted a little bit of the Junkrat gameplay and how it can definitely get a lot of value on this level of Overwatch. They play really aggressive, they get a lot of damage done, and it seems like the enemy teams have a little bit more of a struggle figuring out how to counter this, how to block the damage, because your shield gets taken down, then your supports are vulnerable, they also get taken down, so a lot of pressure that they have once there's damage. And it's the same case for Pharah, also just having those heroes that have a lot of damage to put into the enemy team, uh, put put your own team in such a risky situation that you have to make the adaptation changes to make it work. And that is why actually we're going to be seeing on the side of the defense, they're going to be holding this high ground, and they're going to be also once again into the ranks area. I actually wanted to see more of the dive style coming from the side of Fairfield, but this is not necessarily bad. They just need to make sure that this area is able to get that closure, to get the energy going, to get that graviton surge happening very, very soon, as well as having that Symmetra get close.
Yeah, very crucial that they not let Canisius get up onto that high ground. The Reaper gets there either through teleportation or through just good old-fashioned walking. Spudnator will be able to deal a lot of damage to those tanks, the teleporters being used in Fairfield. Kind of catching the rotation here coming through from Canisius, and Spudnator getting close but not being allowed any entry. WLK hitting them with the Helix rockets, and now looks like Fairfield putting one foot in front of the other, leaning in here. Great aspects with that sim, charged up, ready to lean into some of this damage. Adric actually getting a double kill on both the supports with the charge. You don't see that too often, but makes me smile when you do.
This is really, really good, being able to take down this support right at the end. Now they will be going back to their positioning, making sure that no one's getting picked, no one is in a position where they shouldn't be, and they still have a lot of time outside of Canisius. They're not too worried. The only one fight that they have lost so far, and it's just a matter of trying to get a few picks here, because the entrance for Blizzard War is not really easy.
Certainly won't be, and we're gonna hope that it's a little bit easier for Canisius, as they have that Junkrat now capable of just feeding those pills through the choke. Spudnator now going to be switching on to the McCree as well, and Yuba just trying to put that constant threat up onto the high ground, making it to where you can't really get up there, you can't stay up there as comfortably as you might like. Fairfield do have to go in with the rotation, using that sim teleporter, but it's gonna be Special K actually getting brought dangerously low. As soon as they're down, the Earth Shatter comes out. Excellent synergy coming in from Fairfield. The res will come online from Spudnator, but that just might yield a few more ult points over.
And 2 minutes 10 seconds remaining. Still a lot of opportunities for the attacking side. Canisius has to make something happen here. Fairfield definitely looking a little bit better on this defense compared to when we just saw them on the last map. But a lot of ultimate abilities. French is actually going to be having the garbage surge, so this is a very good sign for them to get value out of it. It's not going to be easy. Ideally, you want to take down the shields before to make sure that more damage will be coming through. But that just might be enough for them.
And you're gonna be seeing the fact that there is somebody trapped, tries to rotate up, not able to capitalize with the rest of their teams. Now we're seeing the Proton Barrier come out from a great aspect. It takes a great deal of damage. Yuba takes them down. The Sound Barrier now coming out from Masks to keep the rest of their team alive. Wrench has this grab surge, might be looking to throw it in deep. just to help secure this fight. Actually not going to be necessary, as now the final few kills are going to be cleaned up. Fairfield so far having a really good defense.
Doing really good, especially with the tank line that they have. And talking about tank line, both of them are going to be having this ultimate abilities to be used. That shatter, that graviton surge will be coming through, and in the meantime, if they're able to use it very early on, that's how you take the advantage. If once again you're able to get a few picks, that's exactly what WLK is trying to do right now.
Are looking ahead. Fairfield once again sending Yuba up onto that high flying mission. Has the tire going to be activating it in this small hallway? Fairfield not going to have the easiest time to mitigate that only Zodiac killer who falls. However, Fairfield suffering a few more losses after that. Adric going to be dropping the Earth Shatter. Wrench still has the grab to try and lock down anything they can. WLK, however, dropping the tack visor, allowing that little extra punch that is exactly needed. Fairfield now going to be looking to press onto the Zarya. The late kill on the Tiger certainly not going to help things for Canisius.
You definitely don't want to get taken down as a Zarya because you're going to lose all the energy that they have. That's a scenario that you want to be happening, especially when you only have 10 seconds left for your team. For the side of the attackers, Canisius has to make something happen. They do have a few ultimates, so they need to get to point first before they can worry about that.
And Special K taking a big anti-nade means that they can't quite receive any of the healing on their way to point. Spudinator drops the High Noon, but at a very costly dose to their health pool. Gets cut down before they can fan the hammer with the flashbang. Tiger getting cut down despite using the grab. And now Fairfield have a very good defense moving ahead.
And all you need to worry about on the side of the attackers for next round is just trying to get a one tick. That means winning a single fight because of the spawn advantage that will also be benefiting you. Once you take on the defense, you're going to be having a lot of trouble coming back. Even when you have a Wrecking Ball, even when you have a Lucio, those fast heroes, doesn't seem to be quite enough. So I really want to see this coming through, and we are actually seeing a very even match for these two sides, where Canisius was taking the advantage in Busan, and now Fairfield has a big opportunity here.
Yeah, certainly do. All they need to do is get that 33%, not the most lofty goal here on Blizzard World, one that we see achieved pretty much all the time, but still, Canisius might put forth a pretty stellar defense, especially considering Yuba was running the Junkrat on the attack. They might as well run it on the defense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, but every time that we've seen this, it doesn't really quite work. It's a little bit of a risky play, and it could definitely work out, but it just needs a lot of planning, a lot of understanding with your team. That synergy that we always talk about has to happen for your team, especially when you're on the defense. If you want to win, you can't get taken down every single bad positioning. You know that the attackers are going to be benefited from. And the performance that we saw from Fairfield University just now, especially the tank lineup that we already mentioned, is what they need right now. They need to perform as well. Wrench needs to get high energy and push forward, just melt everyone else, and Eric just creating space with the Reinhardt. Exactly what they need. They can win it in one fight.
A huge anti-nade to start off the fight from Canisius, landing on the 5 members and are able to just hold back, get healed up, but Devil gonna be appreciating that extra ult charge. Great aspects. Throwing in the teleporter, allowing for a very rapid rotation through to point. Those sim turrets are going to be dropped right onto point, making sure that anybody from Canisius who gets too close to them starts to take that small tick damage. Spudinator trying to blast or stay out of that LOS of the one small turret. Although it looks like Fairfield already done dealing the damage. Swinging big is Adric as they push ahead. The Torbjorn, the last one to fall. That was an easy first tick. A nice little Symmetra play there coming through from Fairfield is going to ensure them Blizzard World.
Clean fight for the side of the defenders. They definitely weren't expecting that teleporter to go there. They just happened so soon that they didn't even have a time to react. We said at the beginning it was only one fight that it was needed, and that's exactly what happened. Now we're on a 1-1. Anyone can win here, and for the side of Canisius, they seem so dominant in Busan, but now Fairfield are making their comeback.
Now Fairfield definitely striking back with a strong left hand punch, as now these scorelines are going to be all tied up, meaning that we still have at least 2 more games to go, but I'm kind of hoping for a few draws, maybe, you know, a 2 to 3 match moving forward here, Dryad. But before we can find any of that out, we will have to take it to a quick break. So stay tuned, folks. This is looking like a competitive one.
Streets go, cuts and worlds and The taste of water at 3 a.m. won't help me fall back to sleep again. Will someone tell me what I'm worth? Even if I say it unrehearsed, I act like I know what I want, but I'm scared of getting lost again. If I were better, I'd call you up and ask whatever you'd laugh but I can't seem to spit it out. I'm choking on a bad fallout. I act like I know what I want, but I'm waking up at 3 a.m.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Not too much time to talk as we are about ready to hop straight into this next map. Hanamura going to be on the dinner plate for both these teams, Canisius College, Fairfield University, both at 1 a pop here, Dryad.
And anyone can win here on Hanamura. When you've seen matches either looking very close or not looking close at all, the biggest difference is always seeing how they perform here on Hanamura, where everyone seems to have a really good attack so far. No one has really struggled into the attack for first point, but the real challenge we know really comes into second point, and that might be just part of the preparation. As long as you can have 1 point and then try to hold the other one, that just seems to be enough. But a lot of preparation that needs to be going through, and that's exactly why for the start of the defense we're going to start seeing that Rhines area once again being played. It seems like teams feel very comfortable with this composition, but also we're going to be having that symmetry for the teleport into the high ground.
And already a great opening from Canisius as Spudnator does take down Yuba on that Junkrat, or excuse me, Fairfield getting a great opening there. Although it does get equalized a little bit with the Zodiac getting taken down. No healing available for the defense. Makes them a little bit weak. Even weaker as they receive an anti-nade. WLK trying to maintain this high ground, but there's only so much you can do without that damage boost coming through. Already feeling some pressure from the Pharah, who does have that Mercy in her pocket. Frankenbuddy ensuring that their teammate does stay alive. The Special K on this Winston, trying to clear off this pesky Lucio, but as you've all seen, sometimes masks on that Lucio just staying a little too long, but it's just eventually clearing out the point and getting the flip with the Browns 3 minutes left.
Exactly what we were expecting to see from them, just a really clean fight. Now they will be pushing into the second point, and they don't have that many ultimate abilities to push forward, so they want to poke here a little bit more, try to get more damage coming through, especially from the side of Yuba on that Junkrat. And once that happens, once they're able to melt the shields, they should be able to push forward, try to take the victory just like that. But for the side of Fairfield, holding this high ground might be the best thing they can do right now while they try to build something for themselves.
Now, Canisius looking to take it right down the middle, right down the gut, if you prefer. Just trying to get some sort of point progress. It's going to be Special K hopping up onto the high ground. A lot of damage that can't be recovered because of a big anti-nade coming in from Devil. Going to be the nano boost onto Tiger. That nano boosted Roadhog could be so threatening. Spudnator from on high with the rocket barrage, looking to drop it right down. Lands onto Masks, lands onto WLK with the cleanup onto Zodiac. Spudnator finally going to be able to take a rest after performing a job well done, but is it well done enough to get some more progress up for Canisius? That remains to be seen as Fairfield has Wrench taking down a few more members, but the respawn's going to be coming back rather quickly. The Valkyrie from Frankenbuddy going to be keeping everybody alive. However, the Sleep Dart trying to come through from Zodiac doesn't quite land. Crucial there considering the whole hog coming in from Tiger. Going to be allowing the point to be taken at a faster rate. 4 minutes 43 left for Canisius as they get that second tick.
No one able to touch for the side of the defense is Fairfield trying the best, but I'm actually surprised we didn't see the stall heroes coming through, that Wrecking Ball, that Diva. They were still holding on to that Ryan Saria, trying to get some value out of it, and just because they're a little bit slower, they weren't able to do so just quite. In the meantime, well, we do have some highlights. Rich has done an amazing job so far on this Saria, and in the meantime, it just all depends into how aggressive they decide to play. The tank line, once again creating space, it's what's enabling teams to win in this composition. When we have this mirror matchup, it just comes to how much space we can see this Reinhardt create, and on the other side, how much can Saria do, how much damage can be coming through, while it also enabling the DPS to do something else.
And to Fairfield's point, it's a little bit tougher to run that soldier on that high ground when, you know, on that first point, you don't really have a lot of initial angles. Usually you have to get them through the choke to take advantage of that roof spot, which it didn't really seem like Canisius was keen to do until they already had that man advantage, taking down, I believe it was Adric on the Reinhardt before pouring in. A great awareness there, or perhaps a little bit of a misplacement from Fairfield. Either way, we're going to see how Fairfield chalks up on their attack next.
For Canisius, a lot of time remaining still in case it goes to another round, so they feel comfortable. They know they just have to have the best defense possible to try to take this a victory. 4 minutes, 43 seconds for them, and now the attackers for this side of Fairfield will be trying to match this time bank as much as possible, but it won't be easy. Teleporter, though, we're already having this hint that this might happen.
Great aspect. It's going to be looking to teleport the entire team, and you are going to be taking a little bit of a nap, effectively bringing them out of this fight for just a moment, although Canisius still managing to pull together some kills. Fairfield takes down the Reinhardt, meaning not a lot of shielding can go on. It's going to be Tiger getting frozen in place, but not able to be taken down. Going to be another freeze onto the soldier, but the reload coming in from WLK ensures that soldier walks away, at least for the time being. It's going to be a little bit of the left click freeze damage, and oh, the Mercy just standing still, letting her fate come to her.
WLK doing really good, making a difference here into this first point where May is so important. Those May walls always making a difference, and also to mention that Symmetra coming through, but this is something that for the side of Canisius they can expect already. They're going to get right into point. They want to win this right now.
And Spudnator are going to be taking to the skies. No Rocket Barrage this time around. Zodiac Killer, the only one with any hit scan potential to take them out. But Spudnator's going to have to stay dangerously low if they want to do any sort of cart or point contesting, rather. Adric receiving a nano boost, but throws themselves into the pit. A little bit of a tough spot to take advantage of. Yuba might have just turned this fight around with that double kill from the Junkrat Riptire. Meaning that now Canisius can lean into this fight even more, swinging wildly. Special K just trying to distract the opposing team, as this May now going to be staggered out for quite a bit.
Everyone looking at May now. She's finally going to get taken down, but there's not a lot of time that is lost for this side of the attackers. Fairfield still have another opportunity. They do have to wait for the May just a few seconds, but it seemed like the Blizzard was going to be ready. I'm surprised they decide to change the composition right away. They're committed to try to get more value. Now, it all depends on building the AMP as soon as possible. They already know they're in a disadvantage when it comes to analyzing the 2 DPS from both sides, and that is going to be so important for the side of WOK. He has a really good performance on the soldier, but has to get the ultimate ability.
I respect the commitment from Fairfield to be able to give up that May Blizzard. It remains to be seen if it's the right call for Great Aspects to go on to the Sombra. Earth Shatter comes in. Special K looks to close the distance and doesn't find too much with that charge. In fact, has to put that shield up for a good while to mitigate any damage coming through until they can get the healing. Now, Fairfield looking to lean in, trying to get some point progress. Haven't achieved it as much as they might like. We're going to be seeing the bell come out from Frank and Bunny to try to bolster the defenses of Canisius so far. Tiger does have that grab online. Not going to need to commit it this time around. Is just already looking to seal up this fight.
And they will be doing so. You need the entire team, if possible, to have the confidence that you're able to take the point. But the longer this goes, the more it's going to be benefiting Canisius when we look at the ultimate economy that they have, that barrage, Yuba also. Everything that they have is going to put so much damage, so much pressure into Fairfield to make something happen, to protect themselves. And yeah, they do have that defense matrix. They also have the shield from Reinhardt, but that doesn't seem to be enough in this case.
Spudnator still has that Rocket Barrage on deck, looking ready to sniff out some weaknesses here. The grab coming in, the Rocket Barrage gonna be responded to. It's gonna be 3 ultimates going out to grab the Nano, the Rocket Barrage, all to ensure this fight goes the way of Canisius. Adric waking up from a nap in the most brutal way possible.
But still no ticks for the side of Fairfield, and we were mentioning how important it was for the DPS of this team to try to build their ultimates very fast, and they're definitely taking long just because they're getting taken down right away, so that's putting a little bit more pressure. If they want to take the advantage, it has to happen now. 70% for WOK to get a tactical advisor. That should create enough space for them to fill and take control of the high ground very comfortably, but Zodiac Killer gets taken down.
An unfortunate spot. Canisius just able to get these initial kills and continue on with their momentum. WOK now in an advantageous spot, but doesn't have the healing that they need from the Ana. It's going to be Masks who's responsible pretty much for healing this soldier. Spudnator trying to rain from on high, but we haven't really seen the soldier deal with the Pharah like they need to. Largely in part due to Frankenbunny's pocketing of that Pharah, able to keep them up in the air for as long as possible. We see Spudnator trying to cut the pie there, making the soldier have to back up based off of those pure angle takes, but Spudnator taking a fire strike from the side here. It looks like a resurgence in confrontations, Ryad.
And the best opportunity that Fairfield has to try to take the point here is going to be that EMP, but once again, WOK gets taken down, so no opportunity to take down Spudnator.
Brent throws into self-destruct, takes down Tiger. A lot of members of Canisius, particularly those DPS, dangerously low. The self-destruct comes online. We're gonna be seeing Yuba hold off on that tire for the time being. Doesn't find a whole lot with it when it does come in. That just means that Junkrat's been out of the fight for a little bit longer. The nano boost onto the Reinhardt means he's just chasing the great aspects on that Sombra away, trying to find something, but can't. That is until the nano booster wears off. Now Special K has the Earth Shatter. Gonna be caught out, pinned by Adric. Able to be taken down. Adric trying to fight with all their might, but so far have not achieved any ticks. Be pushed up upon by that Roadhog. Tiger hacked out, can't use the take a breather. Now the EMP that comes out. WOK now with the Tac Visor takes down 2. Now with another 2 falling from their teammates, this might be what Fairfield needed. It's not gonna be a nearly as good a time bank, but eventually they're gonna start getting some progress.
Every time that we worry a little bit about Fairfield, WOK comes up on top with those kills out of nowhere and makes the entire difference. No one from the side of Canisius is able to touch point, and now they have another opportunity. We're going into the 3rd round where anything can happen. Once again, it all tries. If I want to see something from the two teams, I will definitely be trying to hold the defense into first point. That's something that we haven't seen yet.
It's going to be very tough here, given the amount of times that we saw, about 4 times. I guess the amount of time in for Canisius, that's quite a lot. I mean, a minute to get, any progress on first alone is a challenge in and of itself, but then to deny that same amount of distance to your opponents in 4 minutes, that's going to be very tough. Not quite out of the reach just yet, but I think Fairfield definitely has their work cut out for them.
The time back is definitely very, very scary when you compare the two, but anything is possible. For the side of defenders, they need to make sure that they're playing this very carefully. The support lineup needs to stay alive at any risk when they want to go with a Mercy and maybe have the opportunity for the rest. That would definitely be a possibility and an opportunity for them to hold it for a little bit longer, because the spawn to get into the first point just takes so long that something has to happen in the meantime, and the attackers are going to have the momentum going, try to take the advantage, jump right into point. That just might be what we're going to be seeing, and choosing Metras on the match.
I do see both teams walking out with a sim. I'm curious to see how Spudnator rolls out with this one. We don't often see the offensive sim coming active too much, but we'll see exactly how the response comes in from Fairfield. Immediate teleport from the entire team, but a big pin from Adric onto Yuba enables Fairfield to not have to worry about that big blast damage. The swings from Adric, just trying to build up that ult charge, ducking and weaving out of the way of the fire strikes as needed. Now seeing so far Fairfield building up towards that point progress. The anti-nade onto the Reinhardt means Adric has the opportunity to deal a little bit of damage, but they take a sleep. Wrench no longer in the Diva mech, will try to mech themselves back up, find some success with it, but a little bit costly. Now Fairfield has to try to rush back to points.
20 seconds remaining, and those last kills that we see at the end are not going to benefit Fairfield. They want something going on. Canisius is going to play this more aggressive. They know they have the advantage. They just need to hold for a little bit longer. That's exactly what they're doing.
Tiger coming in with a big slam from the Wrecking Ball allows them to knock back and bully away anybody who might be trying to make a break for the point. Adric tries to pin onto the point, but nobody's able to make it. The touch does come through eventually from Masks, but It's not going to be enough without the reinforcements from the rest of their team. Fairfield has to rely on masks to stall out, but there's only so much one Lucio can do. With that, overtime slowly starts burning down, but it will be faster and faster. WLK take it down courtesy of the turrets from Spudnator. And with this, Canisius looking good for this first point defense.
And I'm just happy that it seems like they listened to what we were saying about how you wanted them to hold that first point. That's exactly what happened. There was a lot of pressure because wasn't as much time remaining for the side of Fairfield. So now they are in a very risky situation to hold the defense for 4 minutes 43 seconds. That's a very hard task, but it's definitely possible. It's happened before in Overwatch. It can happen again. Like we were talking about, they have to play this very carefully. You might be expecting that Symmetra, so holding onto point might be ideal, just you have enough time that no one's going to get that one tick that you need to win.
And Canisius using that sim in the end to really make that teleport painful for the side of Fairfield, teleporting right into the sim turrets. It's going to cost you a little bit of life. It costs you a little bit of attention as well. And Fairfield, they're going to commit to the turret strategy. WLK going to be hopping in on the Bastion, it seems. Wrench on the Sigma just to bunker them down a little bit more.
A very unusual strategy, but when you have that pressure of the time remaining, that is one of the best compositions that you can go for. The teleporter will be coming through, and I actually like seeing this if they're going to pull it the way that we've seen it before, where everyone is able to teleport back and forth depending on the pressure that the enemy team is putting. Just like that, they should be able to win and to delay the victory at least for a little bit longer from the side of Canisius.
The question from me is, can Great Aspect's turrets or teleporter positioning provide any fire once Canisius is actually into point? We'll have to see. WLK immediately turns attention towards Spudinator and Tiger burning down that Roadhog. And thick damage coming through from Canisius, already putting the wear down onto the shields. As we can see, Spudinator just staying stationary, doesn't even need to fly up in the sky, doesn't need to make themselves that easy target just to put on the hurt for these shields. Gonna be trying to come in with the Junkrat jump from the top. Gonna be the quick teleport out. WLK leaving the rest of their team as Zodiac goes to meet them. Canisius so far not finding too much value, not able to whittle down these shields quite fast enough to displace this Bastion.
The biggest challenge that Canisius is going to have is figuring out a way around this Bastion. How are they going to take him down? He has a lot of protection, a lot of damage that is coming through from him. And you can see it every time anyone starts to peek, they almost get taken down, if not completely taken down.
We see Canisius kind of working at a weak angle here. Great Aspects has those turrets set up, but the nano boots going on to Special K, looking to just knock around anybody located near that Bastion. Eventually, Special K does get taken down. Not everybody able to make it through that teleporter, but it's going to be the tank form that is online from WLK, but they take the teleporter a little bit too early. Not quite able to deliver as they need to. However, Wrench looking to pull it back out with the Gravitic Flux, putting a lot of damage down, but the Valkyrie coming through means that a few more members might survive. The concussion mine actually going to be landing onto the tire of Yuba, preventing it from finding the immediate value that it needed to. Fairfield so far getting a couple of trade kills, but it might not be enough, especially as this rocket barrage comes through. Can't quite land onto Valkyrie, but will land onto Wrench. Ear Shatter goes through, only lands onto Devil. Might not be enough as Canisius starting to tick upwards towards that first tick as soon as they're able to clear out this Reinhardt. Adric been so resilient on this point. Great Aspects, however, left kind of in the corner because of that Special K seeking out their target and finding them like a heat-seeking missile. Now, it's all up to kill this Reinhardt, deal with the Bastion, and hopefully win the game here. Asleep on the WLK as they get knocked around farther back and back. They're going to be destroying themselves on that bubble barrier, and with that, Canisius takes their second points.
Canisius takes the advantage, and they didn't have the best start into this match, but now they're definitely giving all they have to try to win here. They're doing really, really good so far, and it was just a matter of figuring out a way to deal with the Bastion. Just like that, taking the victory, they had a huge handbag to work with, and that also enabled them to play it slow, figure out, changing the composition. They were saying that Winston jump is what put a lot of pressure into the defense to the point where there was nothing else they could have done.
I really like the thought process that Canisius seems to have. Just take a little bit of damage, take as much as you need. Once the Ana has that nano boost, send the Winston in. Somebody's going to have to get displaced. They probably noticed that there was no Baptiste to keep the immortality field up. Overall, some excellent maneuvering there that really allowed them to take that advantage and get that first point break.
And now Fairfield does have that challenge again to figure out how they want to make this comeback before it's all lost. It's 2-1 at least. So once again, it's not that 3-0 that some people might be expecting into his matchups. And we were mentioning how close they were into how close they were in discourse before, that they're not really on top necessarily like Rochester when we saw them before, but they're not definitely on the bottom. They're just in the middle trying to figure out how many wins they can get to try to take the advantage a little bit more. That's what Canisius is doing right now.
And my favorite way to describe these teams is mid-table, not cream of the crop, but not quite in the mud either. As now we look ahead, it's going to be our escort map. It's going to be Havana, and it being escort means there can be no ties. So that, of course, means that if Fairfield wants to stay in this, they have to come out with a win.
And can they do this? It's going to be a challenge if they want to change the composition. This is a good opportunity to do so. They did make the adaptation changes right at the end to try to make something happen with the Bastion, but it just wasn't quite enough. And now in Havana, they can play other heroes. We haven't necessarily seen that much of a hitskin presence coming from them. Even when we've seen it, it hasn't really been one that we can highlight too much. But if they have maybe that hidden weapon, now is the time to use it.
Certainly, no better time than at the 0 hour to pull out your secret weapon, especially when you don't want to drop below your opponents here. Now we are getting into the map to see exactly what these teams might have lined up for us, particularly on that defense. It's going to be Fairfield starting off, and WOK kind of liked the feel of the Bastion before. It seems like they might just keep rolling their luck on this one too.
Let's see if they change his composition so far, but we can expect a lot of those Reinhardt, which is very, very surprising to see. Compared to other matches that we've seen where people tend to go with the Wrecking Ball, maybe with the Diva, but it definitely, both of these colleges are playing to what's strongest to them, what they feel most comfortable in, and this is why, because he can just taken a little bit of an advantage so far, but like we mentioned, anything can happen here in Havana, a lot of opportunities, and we are already starting to see definitely the Bastion being played out. Curious to see how it's going to perform.
And we see it posted up near the billboard. This does mean, however, that Canisius is going to be able to get a lot of cart progress. They have that Widowmaker locked onto Great Aspects. Great Aspects going to be playing very carefully to ensure that they don't lose their head early on in this fight and give Canisius a definite advantage. Although it looks like Spudnator struggling a little bit to hit these shots, instead just deciding to focus on to the shield, whittle down the Reinhardt, whittle down the Sigma as much as they can, especially while they're getting this free cart progress. Great Aspects still looking to set up this defensive zone. As this cart now begins to make its way towards that first corner, we see WLK trying to bullet the Reinhardt shield down, really put the pain onto it, wear it down, make it to where that Reinhardt can receive no quarter. Yuba does tear down the teleporter, meaning that WLK now located on the high ground, or at least was until Tiger throws in the hook, pulls them off. Now it's a Bastion on the ground floor. We'll see if WLK can still make this one work. It's going to be the Roadhog pushing in towards it, but Wrench coming in with the kill right as the hook lands into the Bastion. The Earth Shatter does come out from Special K, doesn't land on a whole lot, and in fact results in Special K getting pinned themselves. Rez gonna try to come through from Zodiac, as now WLK does take the knee.
And WLK will try to get a little bit more value on the soldier, but they're going to keep forcing this Bastion to work, and it definitely creates a lot of space. It makes sure that no one from the side of Canisius is taking a bad position, or they're going to be taken down almost immediately. So very good strategy. I don't know for how long it lasts. Once everyone is able to push forward, especially with this person, that might be enough.
Wow, and Tiger timing that hook excellently, able to get masks in the split second that the Reinhardt had the shield dropped. Adric just not quite able to protect the team well enough there, but will swing big takes down the Mercy. Now Canisius really putting one foot in front of the other, really trying to get this first tick achieved. Took him about 2 minutes, but better late than never. Proton Barrier does come in from Great Aspects. Curious to see if they're still intent on fighting this one out. Might limit the range that Spudnator is able to perform at.
And it was very, very early on, and this tool to be used. Really hard to get value out of it. WOK trying to get to point. The Fluxels are coming through, but it doesn't seem like it will be quite enough. Everyone keeps taking down. They just want to consume as much time as possible.
They'll certainly try. The sound barrier is going to come out. Fairfield now going to have to try to touch point. Zodiac Killer gets taken down by the tire. WLK managing to score some kills, but not enough, as the cart has already reached that first point. Now the respawns have shifted.
Stone Barrier that was also used very, very late into the fight, not really able to get as much value as you would want to on this Lucio. Now, we are seeing a few changes on the side of Fairfield. They're making the adaptation changes, no more Bastion, as this really hard to hold the positioning from this hero. WOK will be on the Reaper, so more Brawl Style coming through for this teams. And also, great aspect is going to be, once again, trying to build that EMP as soon as possible with the Sombra.
I like great aspects on this Sombra. Once again, might be able to mitigate a lot of the effectiveness of Tiger, not able to take the breather, not able to use the hook. Special K gonna be popping the primal, really trying to jostle around those supports, being a little bit of a bully as we've seen before, really trying to focus down this Mercy. Does eventually find Zodiac, and Special K not even surrendering that much health over to their opponents. As now Canisius continues to lean forward, build up this objective progress, objective distance if you prefer. Special K ending the kill on the Masks with a melee to the face. Now Fairfield has to recoil just a little bit. WLK stuck behind enemy lines.
Yeah, but the Regensis will be coming through very, very soon. Everyone's just trying to hide, playing it a little bit slower for great aspects, trying to build that EMP as well in the meantime, and the kills have to keep coming to first out of Canisius as they want to take second.
WLK does close the kill onto Yuba, so a huge amount of that burst damage is gone and out of the fight. Tiger on this high ground gets hacked out, not going to be able to take a breather, and with very little support near them, it's not likely that they'll be able to recover much health. However, it doesn't really matter. The rest of Fairfield seems to be focused on the ground fight and losing it, as a matter of fact. Budnator takes down 2 as Wrench takes a little bit of a nap during the Gravitic Flux. Going to be losing that ultimate in exchange for the cart to reach second for Canisius.
A lot of ultimates that we saw, and now a lot of pressure that we're going to be seeing coming through for the side of the attackers. They have that momentum going. They don't want to let it go just yet. So many ultimates, and starting with that primary rage might be coming through. We also see the damage that is able to get not only with the nano that will be ready soon, but also the Mercy trying to support the DPS lineup. It's forcing everyone from the side of Fairfield all the way back, even though they can play aggressive with the EMP.
And Yuba gonna be throwing in the tire early on, takes down Adric with no shield, no Earth Shatter to worry about. It's gonna be Canisius who can just lean into this fight. Special K using that Primal Rage, once again trying to focus on these supports, perhaps dislocate them, prevent that healing from coming through, but Special K now gonna be caught behind enemy lines of their own, drops the bubble to buy themselves quite a bit of protection. Will be reunited with Frank and Bunny. Going up against a Reaper might be a bold call, even more so with a Reaper against a Reaper with projected barrier. Wrench making sure that their teammate stays alive and able to get back into the fight, dropping some traps and throwing some pills.
Once you're able to pass a large area, this becomes much of a closer fight, but that EMP has to be used now.
The EMP is going to be used in nets of 5 members, 3 of which get hit by the Earth Shatter. Death Blossom goes in to follow up. Mercy taken down, Roadhog soon to follow, and with this Fairfield finally dig their heels into the dirt and start putting up a defense.
Really, really good combo from the DPS lineup on the side of Fairfield, and they still have a lot of opportunities. They might seem that they use quite a lot, but no, they still have the Coalescence to engage Leon to push everyone from the side of Canisius all the way back, and then just waiting into how much they can get value out of the picks that the DPS are also able to get. Canisius, though, if a good hook is landed for the side of Fairfield, is going to be really hard to come back.
They do see Spudnator with the high noon. Gonna be the nano on to Special K, who does get hacked out, not able to dive in deep. Means that Winston's gonna have a tougher time utilizing it. Masks taken down during the sound barrier. Masks not able to achieve that. Didn't even hear the voice line go off. It's gonna be Zodiac Killer with the only support ult with any effect from Fairfield, as the whole hog comes out from Tiger, just trying to secure the kill onto the Reinhardt. Spudnator throws in the high noon. Everybody trying to corral themselves on the opposite side of the cart. Spudnator does take down WLK with a fan of the hammer. Now Wrench looking to anybody for their team to give the bubble to, buy themselves a little bit of time and space. Winston getting the hack, gonna be realizing that they have the Primal Rage and utilizing it in quick effect. Special K able to dodge out of the way of that Reinhardt pin, although Canisius has to get this cart delivered rather quickly, otherwise we'll start draining time bank in a way that they might not necessarily want to. EMP goes out. Special K not going to be able to leap away from this one. Great aspects, however, getting stuck in a Junkrat trap is going to be the Winston taking a little bit of a sleep right in front of the feet of Sombra. So Canisius perhaps capitalizing on the hubris of Adric, that Reinhardt going a bit too deep, and with this fight's not quite over. Fairfield going to let themselves try to recollect. WLK has this Death Blossom in pocket.
really long fight, but this could be one less criteria that Blossom does pick into the Mercy, so one less opportunity not having those heals is going to be crucial for them.
Certainly will, but we do see the nano boost going on to Special K. That Winston gonna be able to provide a little bit more damage, but the Diva Peel, excellent coming in for WLK. Not gonna be hit by that last bullet of the fan. The hammer might just have saved that Reaper and helped this team win the battle. You do see the hack onto Special K, means the Primal Rage to buy more times. Not gonna quite be there if the kills come through quick enough. It will not, however, as the Primal Rage does get activated. Down barrier for Mask is gonna cover each and every person on the field for their team. Meaning Fairfield has an opportunity to not let this third point go. High noon from Spudnator needs to be careful, does find WLK, meaning that now two members from Fairfield are going to be less effective in this fight. WLK and Wrench, who are both dead and demech respectively. As we see, Canisius has Yuba back in the fight with this tire. One drop from the high ground might spell destruction for the side of Fairfield. It takes down Zodiac Killer. Not much left in terms of stall potential here for Fairfield. They need to start getting some kills, but they can only do so much. No ultimates on the board either. Great aspects. The closest with that EMP 10% away. Adric not going to be able to walk back and use that whole hog in time. Looks like it's going to be up to the Diva to try to use the self-destruct. Wrench dropping it right on the enemy team, getting the remech to buy themselves as much time as possible. Dryad, this is looking a little bit crazy.
There's so much action going on still for the side of the defense. We don't want to get it out just yet, but it seems like it's just a matter of time before the cleanup comes for the side of Canisius. They will be taking down everyone, and it's just a matter of time. The payload will be getting into that third part of the map, and just like that, it goes to overtime, but they are able to do so.
That was so ridiculous. Fairfield on that last fight looked like they were getting just enough kills to put things in their favor. What happened? What turned around, Dryad, that Canisius was able to take that last point?
For the side of Fairfield, it seems like they were overcommitting some of the ultimates right at the end, and that just put a little bit more of pressure that they didn't want to have. It was looking pretty good for the defense though, but once they kept getting picked over and over again, it just put a lot of the disadvantage that you don't want to have in that case. Still big opportunities though for Fairfield to try to make something happen here. It definitely won't be easy though, so I'm very curious to see what they have to bring. If you're going to be seeing another composition, at the beginning we actually saw Bastion again, so if you wanted to bring a really weird hero that we haven't seen before, this is a big opportunity to do so.
Certainly is. We'll see how exactly this pans out as these teams are looking to get set up and come out from these spawns. About 30 seconds, as we might have heard, for these teams to get ready, get set up, and now it's going to be Fairfield going on the attack.
They'll be going into the attack, and we are not quite sure what we're going to be seeing just yet, but it seems like that Roadhog Zarya might be coming up very early on. And we already talked about the importance of that Roadhog playing as a main tank, creating space necessary, especially into this part of the map where there is a lot of space available, and you need to make sure you're getting picks to try to push forward.
You see WLK on this. Hanzo going to be trying to land some long-range headshots as well as wear down the shield of Special K. Tiger brought dangerously low. Has to be a little bit careful, back off, and relieve a little bit of the pressure that Fairfield might be feeling at this point. Yuba trying to throw in some long-range kills, but it's going to be less long-range than WLK on that Hanzo. Great aspects, has to be careful, does get the hack onto Tiger, gets out with relative safety. Spudnator on the soldier, taking a little bit of a sharp angle against the rest of the team. Wrench able to close the kill onto Yuba. A huge opportunity though that gets spoiled by Special K as they swing big, hit two, and take two down. The rest trying to come through, does succeed. Zodiac Killer almost got eliminated by Spudnator. Not quite the case this time around though. Spudnator continues to push forward, drops that beacon just to keep themselves in the game for a little bit longer. And now it looks like Canisius is going to be trying to push up towards the spawn of their opponents.
They will be doing so, and they feel the confidence that they're able to get value out of it. Now, as Soldier, we were mentioning the value that this hero is able to get. That's exactly what's going to happen. This active advisor creating a lot of space would be ideal for this team. What they're able to build a shatter that's almost ready.
You see the shatter online, nothing to block and save. Maybe the Zarya bubbles. Wrench has to be on cue if they want to land it. The tactical visor from on high is going to be activated. Spudnator throwing it in, doesn't find too much there, but Canisius will be good with the cleanup either way. Spudnator now trying to back up, throws down the healing beacon once again. But Wrench caught in the fight just a little bit too long.
2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining for Fairfield, and that EMP is going to be ready. So if they have an opportunity, it will definitely be that one.
We do see the tire come out. WLK taken down. No opportunity to combo the dragons with the grab this time around, which may very well be the big win condition for Fairfield if they want any opportunity of getting through this first point.
It's looking really, really good for the side of the defense team. I mean, Canisius is definitely doing their job, but now does get punished again. Fairfield is having a lot of trouble coming through on this play, and they once again are using the ultimate economy to the point where it's not really benefiting them.
Yeah, it feels like Fairfield just having a rough time getting grouped in general. WLK now getting taken down early on. We have not seen a solid regroup coming in from Fairfield, and Canisius taking absolute advantage of this as we see Special K inching towards the spawn, eventually going to back up knowing that they don't want to get too into this.
Every time it seems like they are going to use EMP, also they keep getting taken down. So for Fairfield, great aspects has to do this very early on, making sure that if he gets at least a few hacks, ideally getting the tanks would be the best situation for the team to push forward with it.
They do see the grab go out, the Dragons to follow up, not able to keep alive. Special K is Canisius, meaning that Fairfield now has a solid route towards that first point. Soldier up on high with the Ana, only able to do so much damage, so much healing before having to back off because of the Zarya, because of the Hanzo. Great aspects trying to cause a little bit of a distraction themselves, and it will be Spudnator who can come out of this tunnel, but WLK popping up, saying hello to the Ana with an arrow to the head, but Spudnator avenging their fallen comrade. As it looks, this healing beacon gonna come out, keep them alive for a brief moment.
Yeah, and then also the tire comes through, not really any value of it just yet, but do you see them taking out one by one? He does get the Reinhardt at the end, and just like that, Canisius does have the momentum going for them again. They're able to hold for a little bit longer, and it's only 25 seconds remaining. Fairfield, now is the time to use that EMP that we've been talking about. That coalescence will be also ready for this type of mask, and it has to happen for the early engagement.
On the early engagement, WLK takes down Spudnator. We have 10 seconds left. Somebody's going to have to touch for the side of Fairfield if they want to stay in this. The EMP comes in, lands onto 4. Devil, however, still has that nano. Should they opt to use it, they will, and it's going to be onto the Reinhardt. Has to keep his shield up just to protect the rest of their team. However, the Valkyrie coming in from Zodiac means that it's going to be Fairfield who has that healing advantage, especially with the Coalescence as well in pocket. Going to be WLK going for a little bit of a flyby, not really bothering to call attention to themselves with Spudnator, able to take the shot to the side of the head, and because of that, Cart delivered to first point. Overtime, still got there.
It seemed like they weren't able to use it. Canisius had a very good initiation, but it didn't really quite deliver the way that they wanted to. They don't have as much time left for the side of the attackers as they would want to, but still more than enough to win just a few fights. The ultimate economy is what's going to make the difference here. They did use a lot before, so they need to make sure they recover because Canisius does have everything.
WLK dropping early might be expensive here in terms of time bank. Canisius now might look to press their advantage here. We see Tiger grouping up with the Reinhardt. Yuba dropping the tire just to ensure that this fight continues to get pushed back and back. Perhaps knowing that Fairfield's not going to back up here. We do see that Reinhardt, Adric on the cart trying to swing big, hold their position, but the cart's not going to move that far back to just get a regroup in.
A lot of damage coming from Yuba, definitely making the difference. Wrench is able to take him down, but once again, you need the rest of the team to try to get a little bit more value now. He might just get punished for this, trying to run away just for a little bit longer, and Fairfield is able to fulfill ultimate, so it's not looking too bad. The self-destruct might be big if they're able to put it in a good position.
Tiger also going to have to be very careful that Wrench does not eat that Graviton Surge. Huge potential there, but Wrench now out of sight of Tiger as Tiger begins backing up with their other tank players. We're going to be seeing WLK with the Dragons online, but no grabs to combo with this time. It might put them in a very unfortunate spot if they can't lock down the opposing team. However, Spudnator taken out of the fight, as is the Tactical Visor. The Diva Bomb coming out from on top, not able to buy a whole lot of space, but the Earth Shatter coming in from Canisius lands onto Adric. The Reinhardt goes down, tries to drop the Earth Shatter of their own, but gets caught mid-swing. Special K able to take them down, meaning that now Canisius has this ultimate advantage. They're going to be leaning in with the Coalescence once again, trying to find the benefit here. Almost taking the pin is Frankenbunny, but they're able to fade out of it, avoid it, and Adric now caught in no man's land. Gonna be able to back out though.
25 seconds remaining. The last opportunity for Fairfield if they want to win this, if they want to get the second point. This is a good start. The great aspects does take down Tiger. No energy coming from them. And that Coalescence also pushing from the beginning of this one. They want to win here.
Canisius, Yuba throwing in the tire with that Special K taking out 2 members of their own after the nano boost hits them. Now has the Earth Shatter. That means that somebody's going to have to touch Cart and somebody's going to have to put them at risk of hitting the floor. Canisius has Spudinator on high with that Tac Visor ready. No Diva means that Tac Visor is pretty much gonna be free, aside from any LOS that gets broken here. Lucio has to touch, but that means he has to cross the Tac Visor. WOK gonna put an end to that, but can only do so much. The one Hanzo not gonna be able to touch as much as they would like. Overtime is gonna burn down. This is where Canisius is gonna win.
They do take the victory 3-1 for this team, and it was very close, but here coming on Havana, it just became a little bit more challenging for the side of Fairfield. They really didn't know how to engage, and that made the entire difference on the side of the defense. So now that's why we see Canisius looking pretty good. I did like seeing the changes that they made throughout the entire match. They were working together more than we saw Fairfield doing so. And on this certain compositions where you're playing Brawl, where you're playing the Ryan Zarya, you definitely need that coordination with your team to make sure you can win.
Yeah, so far, well, I guess overall, Canisius looking fairly strong, particularly on that Havana map. I don't think that Fairfield was quite able to deliver the performance that we'd seen from them on past maps, and unfortunately, that would end up being the nail in the coffin here. But for asking my opinion, I think they came out well despite their stats. Fairfield suffering a pretty big loss deficit prior to this match, with Canisius having a win over, I guess, a win positive record. You would expect that to typically go 3-0, but the fact that Fairfield was able to put any maps on the board speaks well for them.
Yeah, the more wins you can get, the more comfortable you're going to feel going against the future matches. Once you start losing over and over again, you might not feel as confident as you would want to on here on EGF. So that's what I want to see. But I do want to see the comeback for all these teams that have lost today. They still have a big opportunity going against other teams. It just seems like the matchups were a little bit uneven for them, a little bit unfair, but they still have the time to make the adaptation changes to figure out what meta works best and how they can win next time.
Yeah, better be hitting those books if you want to see that skill improvement coming through. But with that, that was the end of our 5th game. However, one last interview going to be coming your way here after this brief break. So stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back, folks, to our final interview of the day, but certainly not least, Canisius College has graciously sent us Frank and Bunny to answer a few questions. So, Frank and Bunny, first of all, congratulations on your win over Fairfield.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask, going into this match, was this kind of business as usual for you, or did you kind of look over Fairfield and consider how they compared to you?
We definitely did watch a lot of VODs on Fairfield just to kind of see what they're bringing. We saw them running the meta last week, so we were a little worried about that, but um, I think it was more business as usual. We knew their ranks were very similar to ours, so we were expecting a very close game, and yeah, I think that's what we got.
Yeah, that's definitely what we were talking about at the beginning as well. How it seems like it was going to be a very even match, but yes, actually ended up coming up in top 3-1. So yeah, once again, congratulations on that. And I do have a question, which is, so you mentioned a little bit of that VOD review that you were doing for this team, but how else do you prepare? How much scrim time do you put into for your team to try to take the victory into these matches?
We try to do 2 practices a week. One's kind of focusing on map specific comps, and then the other one is more looking at the team we're facing themselves and what we think they're going to bring, what we think they're going to bring for each map, how they've been playing.
So would you consider that your team adapts more to the composition that the other team is playing, or do you play more to your strengths? Because you mentioned that you have a lot of preparation and you review what they're going to play, what they've been playing. You saw that Fairfield was playing the meta, and you were trying to figure out what to do around that. So do you just kind of play to counter?
I'd say we definitely try to start out playing our comfort picks, what we base around the maps themselves and the comps we want to play. But we do keep in the back of our minds what we're going to switch to, knowing that they might bring out this, they might bring out that.
Now, finally, Frank and Bunny, do want to thank you very much for coming in here answering a few questions. I know it's perhaps a little bit later. I know it's late for myself and Dryad, but before we let you go, do want to give you the opportunity to give any shout outs you think are necessary to your team, your friends, your family, whoever.
I want to shout out our Ana player, Devil. He came up with this amazing nade um, at Hanamura for our attack right before the match, like not
Yeah.
even an hour before, and he was so excited to do it, and I'm so glad it worked out.
Well, a
Nice.
fantastic. There you go. Devil getting the shout outs from Frank and Bunny. Frank and Bunny, once again, thank you for tuning in, hanging out with us in the interview booth, and congratulations on your win over Fairfield.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, Dryad, I do believe we are about ready to wrap things up here after a long day of casting, a long day of Overwatch in general. Can't be more than pleased with the way things ended, Canisius versus Fairfield. So, for those of us here at EGF, thank you for tuning in for Season 2. Be sure to join us next week for some more Overwatch action. For Dryad, I've been Sir Waltham, joined by Dryad. You can catch us at Sir Waltham and at Dan Dryad. Until next time, folks, stay safe out there, everybody.